So we're going to get to know each other really quick before we start, so I hope y'all are awake enough for that because I like to get to know everybody that's in the class. We are here for 4 hours of CEU credit. Who in here is a licensed esthetician? Okay, who in here is a cosmetologist? Okay, who in here is a nail technician? Okay, yes, and soon to be esthetician. So yeah, you're in the family too. Okay, I'm putting y'all on the spot. Tell everybody if you're working in the field what inspires you the most about what you do, and let's get it going this morning. Here we go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Linnea Walker. I am a licensed esthetician, and I'm also a licensed instructor. I love being in this industry because I love educating others about skincare.
Where do you live?
I live in Somerville.
Okay, well, I wish we lived closer to each other. I need more teachers. Hello.
My name is Eden Bates. I am a licensed esthetician, and I'm also a certified laser technician. I live here in Charleston, South Carolina, and I love working in the medical aesthetics industry. I just love helping people transform themselves and feeling like the best version of themselves.
I couldn't agree more. Very good. And here you go. Hello.
Hi, my name is Emily Garcia. I'm a licensed esthetician. I live here in Charleston. Me and Eden actually work together at the same.
Where do y'all work?
We work at Bonnie's.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite part about aesthetics is just making people feel good about themselves.
Great. I agree. What about you?
My name is Jessica Lopez. I live here in the Charleston area. I'm also an esthetician. I've connected the mind, body, and spirit, and that's my absolute passion.
Do you know these girls here?
I do not.
But you do now.
Yes, I do.
We like to make friends here.
Hey there, I'm Alexa Myers, and I'm from North Augusta, South Carolina. I'm a licensed esthetician and realtor, and now that I've finished homeschooling my kids, I'm looking to get involved in medical aesthetics.
We'll talk about all the regulations and all the things today. And I know you're filling stuff out, but hello, what's your name?
I'm Nitra Adams.
Do you love aesthetics?
I am a cosmetologist.
You're a cosmetologist.
Yes.
So we love everything. That's even better. I like that. Very good. How about you?
Excuse me, sorry. Hi, my name's Erica Jordan. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. I'm a medical esthetician. Most passionate about lasers and just like restorative medicine.
Good. Man, I wish I could teach y'all laser physics today. That's one of my favorite topics. Come to IECSC in Florida to take that one if you love lasers. Hello, Chelsea. Tell everybody who you are.
My name is Chelsea Waker. I was in the advanced aesthetics program 2 years ago. And
You're here for some credit?
yes, I am here for credit.
To visit me.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Gigi Wasson, and I've been licensed esthetician for, since 2004. And I work in a beautiful spa, and I just love to make people feel better, and I live on Johns Island.
Thanks for coming right down the street. Perfect. I'm going to get to that side of the room in just a minute.
Hello, I'm Jaden Mass, and I'm one of your aesthetics students.
Oh, hello. Yes, hello. I'm like, you look familiar.
I just
Love about school so far. And they're here for clock hours, not CE credits, but go ahead.
I love all the facials, everything like that. I want to get more into the medical side too, so I'm excited about that.
Your skin's beautiful this morning. Hello.
Hi, I'm Juliana Lattimore. I'm a student at your school, and the main thing I'm passionate about is just making people feel comfortable in their own skin.
And you're beautiful. And y'all made it this morning. I'm so glad.
My name is Michaela, and I go to Sumter Aesthetic or Southeastern Aesthetics. And I like the eyelashes and brows.
Well, your lashes and brows look amazing today.
Thank you.
Okay, Kathy. Man.
Time. Kathy Roberts, and I'm an esthetician, and I've been doing this since 1999. I am retired. I live on Daniel Island, but I don't want to let my license go because I still love it. I love seeing the transformation in people's skin when I did that, when I did the facials.
Completely agree. Ashley.
Hi, I'm Ashley Cusimano. I live in Evans, Georgia. I'm a licensed esthetician. I love meeting new people and getting to see the change in their skin, making them feel better.
So good to see you. You look younger than the last time I saw you. I love it.
I'm Auburn Rose. I'm also a student. I'm from Augusta, Georgia, and
Same as her, I'm most passionate about facials and making people feel good in their skin.
My name is Alina Thompson. I'm also a student, and right now we're just doing the basic side of aesthetics, but I'm looking forward to going to the advanced to learn lasers.
Crash course it. Are we still hearing ourselves on this microphone? Hopefully. I mean, we're in a small enough room. We could probably hear it anyway. Hello.
Hi, my name is Angelica Santana. I am a licensed nail technician. I just finished aesthetic school. I'm also an instructor, and I just love making people's beauty goals come true.
I love meeting other instructors. Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Estefania Pascual, and I'm a nail technician. I love getting my creativity out with nails, nail art, and making people feel better than they did when they walked in.
I would love to see some of your before and afters on nails. Love, love, love. Okay, girls.
Good morning. My name's Megan Green. I live in Hilton Head Island, which is 2 hours south of here. I've been in aesthetics for almost 10 years. And my age group, it's a retirement community, a lot of golf and tennis, and so a lot of sun. My age group is really that 55 and up. So what I would like for myself, my personal goal is my next 10-year gap is to transfer into the more the medical aesthetic side, more of the laser side, and keep pushing my client's skin further.
That's what you should do.
That's what I'm doing.
You're going to do it. And how about you?
I'm Natalia Lopez. I am an esthetician. I'm from the Augusta, Georgia area. I went through your school.
What year did you graduate? I forgot.
It's like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
But you look better than ever.
Thanks, you too. I'm trying to get into the advanced side of aesthetics, and I just love building relationships with them and trying to make them feel better when they leave.
Good, 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 good. So glad to have y'all. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to see you. I'm Ann Patterson. I'm not sure what all I'm supposed to say here, but I am from Greenville. Okay. Okay, I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. Aesthetics. I also work as a hygienist, so I work in a dental office that also has an aesthetic spa, and I do both ends. And I love the flexibility of both of my careers.
That's right. You're still doing dental. I like that.
I do both, yeah. Right. I found an office with both.
Angel?
I'm Angel. I am from the Blythewood, Columbia, South Carolina area. I am a licensed nail technician, and I'm also a student at night at Courtney School for aesthetics. I got into this industry about 5 years ago, starting with nails, and I just love being able to make people feel better about themselves and finding natural ways to do that without having all the harsh chemicals. So,
yeah. And you're very good at nails. I know that for sure. And last but not least, oh, no, we already did you, didn't we? Yes.
Oh, hello. Good to see you. So what are we? I'm so sorry. I just. All right. My name is Christian. Christian Motter, and I am an esthetician. I'm super passionate about like science-based skincare, but yeah, that's really my jam right now is science-based skincare. You know.
When did you graduate our school, Chrissy?
I graduated in 2019.
Okay, see, time goes by. Isn't that crazy? The last time I was here to teach a CEU at Kiowa was 2020, so that was the year. It was right before people started wearing the masks, obviously, so it was special time. So I'm glad we're back to some in-person stuff. Okay, y'all ready? Let's get this going. Let me pull this up. Pull out your notes. Give me 1 second here to get this logged in again. And I'm going to treat everybody like students. So I'll be checking your notes periodically, but probably right before we do our hands-on. So it's 9 o'clock. We're going to do a little break, probably around 10:45. Then we're going to come back and probably lecture just a little bit more and jump into some hands-on. If y'all will wave to Thomas back there, he is filming this, so we have it on record. LLR likes to make sure everything is filmed. If y'all know anything about in-person LLR CEU classes, I've taught a ton of online ones, so I'm glad to do an in-person one again. And then this room is a little dim, which is totally fine for a presentation, but we found that there's really good lighting in the next room, so we're going to do some headshots for y'all today over there if you would like to take some headshots today. Just thought that would be fun, and maybe a fun group picture at the end. Would that be okay? Okay. All right, we have water. We have notes for y'all. We have coffee right out here. Bathrooms right out here. Everybody's good to go? All right. I know it's first thing in the morning, so y'all just sit back, relax, and I'll do the whole thing. We're going to have fun. Okay, so normally if I were in my school, I would have all of these printed in front of you. So do your best to make sure y'all see, scoot up a little bit closer if you need to. And at the end of this class, before the end of this business day, I will email every single person these PDFs, so that way you have it. I'm going to go through quite a bit of stuff, not just infection control, although that is what we're supposed to cover for CEU, so you'll see a ton of that. And we're going to begin with that. I also pulled an excerpt from a book I have coming out later that has a lot to do with sanitation for beauty professionals. We're going to go into that. We're going to look at the LLR website and talk about rules and regulations. I was lucky enough to be chosen one more time as the task force member for this year. So yay to dermaplaning and yay to microchanneling, microneedling for you guys, up to a 1.4 millimeter depth. Does everybody know that's a thing now? Okay, so this is good. So I'm actually going to do a demo, and April is probably going to be my person unless I have another person that would like to be my demo model. And I'm going to show you how to do microchanneling and dermaplaning together if you want to do that. I've even pulled our PDFs for all the protocols for microchanneling and dermaplaning, and that way y'all know how to do wet planing, dry planing, a couple of different things. And of course you can do them all separately, but you can most certainly do it together. And of course we're going to showcase infection control and sanitation the entire time because that's what this class is about. And then other than that, I was going to go through a little bit of care plan education if we have time. Who in here does a lot of education in the treatment room for their clients as a working provider? Okay. And of course, we have educators in here, so y'all understand the benefit of that, so that's good. We're going to talk about those things. That is really where today I still have clients that like to come in and, see me or see my students because they saw me before. And they love a care plan. And I love receiving text messages. I get messages all the time. I'm sure y'all do too from people with just their pictures of their skin. Courtney, what do I do? So we're going to talk about how to do that for your clients a little bit as well because all of that pairs together. So hopefully this will be a good refresher class for everyone and something that will inspire you this Friday before we start fall. Everybody, are y'all ready for summer to end? I'm ready for the humidity to end, but not the summer. So we'll have some fun today. Okay, so start taking notes. Like I mentioned, the reason that y'all are here is for CEU credit, and 4 hours is required, of course. The LLR says so. It used to be 2 6-hour classes every other year. Now it's just 1 4-hour class, which is kind of fun. But let's see what it says. Professionals must implement the most sanitary work environments possible to gain trust. So what I want you to envision when I teach something is let's put it in a way that makes sense to you. So write down the word gain trust. And then I want you to visualize things because I'm a visual learner, just like you guys. Visualize the best form of sanitation that you could showcase to your client. Whether it is a beautiful dispensary where clients can see in, maybe there's glass walls, they can see that autoclave, they can see the UV sterilizer or light box, even though in South Carolina we don't have those, but we've got some Georgia people, y'all can use those, or wet sanitizers, just things that really visually look appealing. So that's how we gain that trust, right? Then it says, let's see, professionals will respect themselves for ethical sanitation practices. So we're going to talk quite a lot about all of this, but raise your hands if y'all have ever seen anybody just take, and we'll pick a little bit on, and I have a cosmetology program now. We do aesthetics, cosmetology, nails, massage, and clinical medical assisting or advanced aesthetics academy. So we have multiple programs now, but picking a cosmetologist a little bit, how many of y'all have seen someone take hair cutting shears and just put it in the wet sanitizer without decontaminating it. So I'm going to give you a lot of visuals today, and we'll have some fun, but just imagine what we don't want to see. And oftentimes as estheticians, I honestly feel like we need to have ethics a ton. And there's nail technicians, there's cosmetologists here, right? But behind the walls of a, room, we have to really do things ethically when somebody's not watching. So think about those things. Think about those things, okay? So the 3 steps of cleaning, we'll start with that one. Normally I have a pin or something up here that I can show you, but let's pretend I've got a pair of tweezers or an extractor tool in my hand. What do we do with it? So this is a refresher. Hopefully everybody knows all this stuff, okay? So it's important for licensees to understand the 3 steps of cleaning. We're going to imagine this after we talk about it. When cleaning implements utilized on the public for services. Remember these for your state board examinations. Of course, y'all have already passed that goal. And in the treatment room. So number 1, imagine this one, and I want y'all to identify, and I might ask for some feedback so we can have some fun together this morning. But decontamination. Think about whether y'all do this. Think about whether your peers do this. Maybe in your salon, you see people either do it or not do it. Let's make sure they're doing it. So decontamination is washing with antibacterial soap and water to remove something called bioburden. Everybody say bioburden. Okay, write down bioburden. As an esthetician, of course, primarily, we have a lot of those in the classroom. We like dirt, debris, dead skin, blood, and all the fun stuff, the pus, the bodily fluids. But we don't want to keep it on our implements before we put it in the wet sanitizer. So you're going to take those tweezers or whatever it is, you're going to take it over to the sink. Okay, you're going to wash it with antibacterial soap and water before you move forward to disinfection. Okay. Disinfection is the removal of most, but not all, microbial life. So again, make sure you're writing notes because I'm going to check them. But this is where you put those implements after they've been decontaminated in a wet sanitizer for how long, gals? How long? 10, 15, or 20 minutes, whatever the manufacturer's directions say, right? So that's really, really key. We want to make sure it's in there for that long. Now, do we keep things in there overnight? No. How many of you have seen wet sanitizers in which things just look like they've been in there for days on end or weeks? Oh man, how many of you have seen stuff just kind of sitting in there, feel like there's particles and all this kind of thing? Yeah. So we don't want that. Everything needs to be cleaned out every day. So usually I get to the office at, 7:15, 7:20, and I walk down my big long hallway, and there's a dispensary to the left. When I go in that dispensary, I want to see that all my wet sanitizers are turned over and completely empty. And I know that my night team was the one who emptied everything out and they're good to go. That is really the sign that things are going well in your salon environment, right? And for those of you that keep talking, medical aesthetics and you're interested in that, as someone that we're launching medical programs through the South Carolina Commission on Higher Education, and we have an accredited CMA program, we now have got, so many things going on, which is great, but blood spill and biohazard waste and all this kind of stuff, sanitation is more important than ever before with that kind of thing. So if you're interested in more blood spill opportunities like that, which is fine, you just need to make sure this is primarily what you're focused on. And then sterilization, because we are a CEU class today focused on the Board of Cosmetology, I want you to make a note that sterilization is unfortunately not required per the South Carolina Board of Cosmetology. So this is not a requirement, but I'm going to give you a little but in just a minute. But the word sterilization means the removal of all microbial life inclusive of spores. So what I want you to put down in your notes is you can purchase an autoclave, which I would highly recommend you doing. And I've been a licensee since 2005. So Kathy, maybe not 99, but well, a few years after that. So autoclaves at that time were so expensive. You guys, y'all can get them at a better rate now. I would just do it. Just because you don't have to doesn't mean you shouldn't. So when I'm talking about things like tweezers or extractor tools or metal implements, if you'll write down that metal implements can go in an autoclave. It's like a mini oven, okay? So you kind of bake off everything else. And I like the way this says sterilization is the removal of all microbial life inclusive of spores. That's great. But if disinfection is the removal of most but not all, that makes me a little nervous, because I want to show you something in just a minute. And I'm not going to show you names or business names or anything like that, but you can look up people publicly that have sanitation infractions. And many of y'all that are students of mine or graduates, y'all have seen this, but I'm going to show you in just a minute where you can find that. And we don't want to be known for sanitation violations at all. So keep that in mind. And the last thing I'll say about sterilization with the autoclave is just make sure you don't put anything bristled or, like a facial brush or hairbrush or anything like that into an autoclave, because it will melt, So just keep that in mind. I've seen that happen. People have accidentally put things like that in autoclave. We don't want to do that. It'll burn it up, okay? So those 3 steps. All right, moving forward. So important terminology. Let's see if y'all remember this one. Everybody's smart. I know this is right, just something y'all just already know. But OSHA is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, not Occupational Safety and Hazard Administration, right? So Occupational Safety and Health Administration. And what they do is they regulate health and safety in the workplace, primarily for you, the worker or the employee. So I'm going to say a couple of personal notes about OSHA because I like to be as overly compliant as I possibly can. So have I called in OSHA even though I don't have to, just to inspect my facility? Absolutely. I've had them over at least 3 times. And I will tell you, now that we're in our final home, thank God, praise the Lord, April was there. We're not moving ever again. Just note that I think we're all a little bit into holistic health and wellness these days. I think everybody's more aware of their own health. At least I would hope so, especially post-COVID and everything like that. One thing that OSHA does not do, and y'all may not know this, but I know this firsthand, they don't have a mold standard, which I think is actually really sad, and y'all should too. So hopefully that changes in the next, couple of years now that I've talked about it so much, because I'm shocked by that. Most everyone has a mold toxicity problem with their health, to be honest, and they should care about this. So when there's historic buildings, and I used to love some historic buildings, now we're in a nice newer building, but you're going to have mold, and that does affect workers. Absolutely. So that's the one thing they don't do, funny enough, but otherwise they do regulate health and safety in the workplace. And if you get a random visit from OSHA, that's not a good thing, right? You want to call them in to make sure everything's good to go, but otherwise we don't want any random visits. But they're there to help you with your safety first and foremost. One thing we do want to know is that EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, they are who register many different types of disinfectants. So make sure you write that one down. They register many different types of disinfectants. And by the way, I'm a pretty fast talker. If y'all need me to stop and elaborate on something, just raise your hand, no big deal. But remember here, what I want you to write down about disinfectants is this: quaternary ammonium compounds. Y'all can write down quats for short. You're going to have that. So again, visualize your pretty dispensary for me. We're not here just learning infection control because it's boring. We're learning it because it actually can be fun and something you can showcase to elevate your business. So visualize your gorgeous dispensary. Maybe think about lighting, color scheme. I mean, it can be open concept. It doesn't have to be this room in the back of the building that nobody ever sees. I think people should see it, right? So Quat Solutions, we want those. So Quat Solutions by brand, ladies, would be things like Barbicide, Cavicide, Leucocide, Citrus 2, all of that. I've actually got some disinfectant wipes right here in this treatment table. We'll talk about all of that when we do everything. Of course, we've got our Sharps container showcased here. We've got some covered items. We'll talk about that. But then write down that sodium hypochlorite is the other term for household bleach. And then hello, my ladies here for clock hours that haven't taken their state board exams yet. Sodium hypochlorite as household bleach is the #1 question that will be on that theory exam for state board. They will ask it. Angel's like, yeah. So I love the smell of Clorox bleach. Is it good for me to inhale it, or you? Probably not. But you can use bleach to disinfect. That's totally fine. Just remember, it does stain your darker clothing. We don't like that. And then phenolics. I like to kind of compare this one because phenolics cleaning solutions are interesting. You're not going to use them in a salon setting, but I'll give you just an example. One of our friends, we've got a couple of married couple friends, and one of them are the Malo family. And Matt, the husband, he is a firefighter during the day, and he does industrial cleaning at night after hours. And he sent me a picture one day of his knees all blistered and burned. And I said, well, what did you do, Matt? And he said, well, I was, bending down in these thick jeans, cleaning this industrial plant, whatever, with the phenolics, and I'm supposed to suit up from head to toe, and I didn't do it. And, he's just cleaning away. And it burnt through his jeans, those thick, men's utility jeans they wear, and burnt his knees. So that should show you and give you a visual of how strong phenolics cleaning solutions are. So we're not going to use them in the salon, but remember, by way of your textbook, phenolics cleaning solutions are harmful to hair, skin, and eyes. That's a good reason to remember that one. So we put them on some stem cells, and I said, you really need to get some arnica, and I'd probably possibly get on an antibiotic from a physician, of course, just to make sure there's no bacteria infection or anything like that. We did some LED bed stuff for him at the time, and he was good to go. So just keep that in mind. Now, from an aesthetic standpoint, since some of y'all like some of the advanced stuff, we have a physician team and some nurse practitioners that do our good faith exams for our Advanced Aesthetics Academy, which is a nationally accredited program. And one of the chemical peels we do is the Perfect Derma Peel. I'm sure many of y'all have heard of that one before. That has phenol in it. Okay, PHENOL, but instead of it being, of course, for cleaning, this one's more for sloughing dead skin. So look up on your own if you're interested in this. Go to YouTube sometime and just look up phenol peels by itself. It will scare the ever-living daylights out of you, so don't do that. Okay, but the Perfect Derma Peel has phenol, TCA, which is trichloroacetic acid, as well as it's got glutathione, which is the buffering solution. It's got an antioxidant in there to buffer it down. So you're going to see almost snake peeling skin on the face, which I think we love as estheticians. We love seeing something like that, but it is in the pH of 1, so just remember anything that's kind of that 0 to 1.99, and pH is considered to be medical strength. But good to know, and a good little comparison when you're talking about phenolics as a cleaning solution. Okay. Then, when it comes to PPE, so we got this important terminology here, and like I said, I'll send you all these slideshows. PPE. I wear gloves for everything. I think that if you ever were taught to do facials or anything where you're touching a person, consider finding gloves that fit you. Sometimes you need some that are super tight. Sometimes certain brands might fit you better than others. I kind of toggle between mediums and smalls. I think we brought mediums, so we'll just make that work today. That's okay. But find ones that suit you, because protecting yourself and, of course, by way of them feeling like they're protected from anything you can give them, that's never a bad thing. It's never a bad thing, so think about that. And then also, if you want to wear, I think one of the nicest things you could do is to realize when there is blood spill present, a nice thing that you can invest in are disposable smocks. We've had those before. I love them. They're super inexpensive. They can go right over your scrubs or right over whatever you wear, and then you can just change it out each time. Kind of imagine, my mother's a retired CRNA, and she always says she passed gas for a living. That was her words for sure, and that's exactly what she did. She would put people to sleep in the operating room, but she would go into work in her just regular clothes, change into her scrubs, and then perform surgery, change out of them, get back into street clothes, and then move on with her life. I think that we shouldn't treat it much different. So just kind of think about if there's a possibility for blood spill. Even if you're doing extractions, even if we're doing anything like that, there's stuff we just cannot see that is getting on you and getting on your clothes. So just think about some options for PPE. Is this getting y'all thinking a little bit? Perfect. Okay. So I added these items. There's maybe 2 or 3 slides, and then we're going to look at some LLR rules and regulations, and then I'm going to scoot over to that website and all that good stuff, so hang tight. But I think it's important. I just added these last night because these were not in here before, but I thought y'all would like it. But it's important to remember what direct and indirect transmission is, especially when we're talking about serving people and being in the business of community service and helping others and touching people. But transmission is the process of how pathogens, which are, bacteria-filled pathogens, move from one object to another. When pathogens are transmitted to make an individual sick, an infection can occur in the form of pain, swelling, redness, local fever, throbbing, discharge. We know all of that. Infection occurs when disease-causing bacteria or viruses enter the body and multiply. So just write down for your notes. You don't have to write down this entire thing, but we want to prevent transmission of disease. So just write down prevent transmission of disease and just imagine, because I want you to be creative right now. We need to think of fun ways to learn this content. Think about ways in your treatment room or in your future treatment room, Alexis, right? Yes. That you can prevent against this and to even showcase that to your client. And then, of course, it says here, direct transmission can occur through direct contact or respiratory droplet transmission. I think about that a lot. Do y'all ever have clients that just get right up in your face? That drives me absolutely crazy because when you are talking, you are getting things in people's faces. I mean, that's just how things work. So think about that. Examples of diseases transmitted through direct contact include warts, pink eye, influenza, the flu. Who here's had pink eye before? It's never fun. I've had it. It is not fun. We don't want to receive it. We don't want to get it. These are definitely things that are contagious. And I have a lovely skin conditions presentation I will not bore you with, but all the nasty pictures, if you want to see it, I can pull it up, all the good stuff. I always pick the worst pictures of pink eye. I'm sure you've seen that presentation. All right, indirect transmission can be transmitted through airborne droplets, contaminated objects, or food and drinking water, which again is why I find it funny that OSHA does not regulate mold, because airborne droplets, I mean, that's of course how mold happens, just to say. And examples of indirect transmission include ringworm, okay, which doesn't involve a worm, by the way. It's a fungal infection. MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, or E. coli, so any bacteria. So long story short, just imagine, we don't want to get it, we don't want to give it. And the one story I'll share before we move on is I teach lash extensions all the time. I'm not sure if anybody's into lash extensions. I know, young lady back there, you said you love lash extensions. But the story I tell all the time with that one, because it's such a good story, little Megan, not this Megan, different Megan. Years ago, I was teaching lash extensions on Gervais Street, downtown Columbia, and it was a beautiful day. She had gone through kind of my, first training, and then here we are doing each other. So she's doing lash extensions on little Laura. And I look over at her, and she's got a Band-Aid on her hand. And I say, well, Megan, what's wrong with your hand? She said, well, I got bit by a dog and they think it's MRSA. And I said, okay, well, come here right now. I take her in the dispensary and I shut the door. And I said, if you think you have MRSA, you cannot be performing anything on anyone. And I said, because if you have a Band-Aid over that, you can sweat and all of that can trickle down, get into her eyes. So I ended up sending little Laura, her model, to the doctor to make sure she didn't have MRSA, and luckily she did not. But I sent Megan to the doctor just to make sure, and she did. She almost had, her hand almost amputated, to be completely honest. She had a bunch of stuff kind of surgically removed, and she was on a leave of absence for probably 7 or 8 weeks. So just think about that. If I hadn't caught that, and who knows, right? But if I hadn't caught that, could she have had the possibility to give that girl MRSA in her eye? Probably. And the funny thing about that is she did not long before that take this section of the class. So I think some people forget that it's not just what we can get from other people, it's what we can give from ourselves. So just be reminded, ladies, that, if y'all are sick, you're coming down with something, you think you have anything contagious, we have to cancel those clients or give them to somebody else to perform them. That's just doing the public a good service, not a disservice. We want to make sure we protect everybody. Okay, and then we're going to move on to some state board stuff in a second. But common ways to spread infection in the workplace include having open sores, like I just mentioned, utilizing infected implements that are not properly disinfected or stored. It's not a bad idea as consumers because, we got into business of beauty because we like beauty, right? It's not a bad idea to question things, even when y'all are going to get services done. One of my active students right now, Candace, in advanced aesthetics, her daughter also went to my school too, and she's graduated, and she sent me some pictures. She said, well, Michaela went to go get something surgically removed by this dermatologist, and she sent pictures of these surgical things sitting on there. They're all rusted, all dirty, and she just left right out of there. I said, well, I don't blame her. You know, so question things, ask questions, look at what's being utilized when somebody's doing something to you. Have those standards. You know, not everybody is clean, even in the medical field, unfortunately. Okay, and then of course, not washing hands. Make it a point to have a sink nearby. You can also have portable sinks, by the way. It doesn't have to be anything in the room that's plumbed. If you do have a plumbed sink in your treatment room, that's even better. But just think about that. Showcase in front of the client that you're washing your hands, and then every so often hand sanitize. Have that hand sanitizer handy, ready to go. Coughing or sneezing, of course, and then unsanitary workplace conditions. How many of y'all, because here we are, right? We're doing this for a license continuing education moment. How many of y'all walk in someplace, and maybe I'm just OCD, how many of y'all can see the dust bunnies and, you know, the things? Do y'all have any stories? Angel, I know you have one. Well, that's very nice of you. Oh, man. Anybody else have a fun little story? Okay, I'll tell you a gross one from the food industry, and then we're really going to move on. One time I was sitting, you know how you can see into the kitchens from the bar area of some restaurants. I sat there one time, this was a handful of years ago, and I saw the guy in the back just rolling sandwiches, must have been like a wrap or something. He had on vinyl gloves, picked up his hat, rubbed it through his sweaty hair, put his hat back on, and continued to roll the sandwich. And I'm like, okay, no, absolutely not. So we see this kind of stuff in all industries, and it's just one of those things we all have to be accountable. Who in here is a leader or a manager in their salon? Okay, very good. So it takes those amazing leaders, right, to make sure that we're doing the right thing all the time. We already went over this one, 3 types of disinfectants. Just make sure you have those: Quats, household bleach, sodium hypochlorite, and phenolics. Okay. Dispensary equipment. So this is a picture of an autoclave. And then, of course, y'all are very familiar with a wet sanitizer. But I also have to say it doesn't have to be the standard barbicide jar. It could be the long horizontal boxes. It can also be a Tupperware container with a lid, as long as your items can be completely immersed and as long as it's labeled as a wet sanitizer as well for inspection. So just keep that in mind too. And cleaned out every day. Once items are cleaned out, as far as taken out of here and dried off, they're put in a dry storage container that is labeled. Y'all remember this from school, but just again, be reminded of it. I hear horror stories all the time. I get a lot of text messages and, emails from alumni telling me about these conditions, and even in medicine. Where I live in Lexington, South Carolina, I had 2 or 3 girls go work at different times for this same medical spa, and she said, Courtney, there is no one coming in here and cleaning. There's dust bunnies in the windows. There is just, they might wipe down their counter, but there's no one actually cleaning treatment tables in between patients or whatever. And that's unacceptable. So just think about these things, and just remember, y'all can, not to be Debbie Downer, but you can implement, you could file a complaint. That's the word I'm looking for. You can absolutely file a complaint. Just remember, it just depends on the board you need to file to. So I'll show you that in just a minute, but you're going to either file to the Board of Cosmetology, Board of Nursing, or Board of Medical Examiners. So just kind of think about that before you move forward there. And then an autoclave, make sure you write this one down. If you have an autoclave, because we have one, so we have to do it just like this, it must be spore tested every 30 days by an outside vendor. Now that is written in the LLR rules and regulations, so just keep that in mind if it is in a salon setting, okay? The LLR requires it to be spore tested every 30 days by an outside entity. So just imagine that you would maybe have a 3-ring binder with those little reports just kind of right next to it, just in case there's an inspection, and you're good to go. Okay, moving this way, there we go. Okay, and then remember, what's the difference between viruses and bacteria? Bacteria are one-celled microorganisms, also known as germs. So examples would be cocci or cocci, bacilli, and spirilla. If you'll write down examples specifically, could be MRSA, things of that sort, any bacterial infection. But then things like viruses. Viruses are smaller than bacteria, and they are capable of replication by taking over the host cell's reproductive function, the host being you. So they take over your cells, and just remember things like the flu, the cold, of course COVID, anything like that is going to be more of a viral infection, and either one is not good to have or good to transmit. But just imagine too, just for your own notes, that viral infections cannot be treated by antibiotics. We do know that, just bacteria infections. So keep that in mind. Going too fast? Are y'all good to go? Okay. And then this is actually a really great picture, and I've had this on here for a couple of years. I like this picture, and this is the prime example of aseptic technique. So y'all don't have to tell me, but I want you to imagine right now in your active life, as a provider, do you do this? And so what aseptic technique definition says is it's using practices and procedures to prevent contamination from pathogens, which are harmful bacteria is what pathogens are. It involves applying the strictest rules to minimize the risk of infection, but look at what this looks like though. It's covering items. So just imagine that there's some tweezers or something up underneath that little paper towel. Everything is covered. Then, of course, your wax pots are clean and covered. And then you also have your wax sticks, gauze, whatever, in covered containers. One thing I have to get students used to is when you're using something and opening something, put the lid right back on. You can't just leave things open when you're in the middle of doing something. So it just takes a certain level of paying attention and wherewithal to do it this way. And honestly, if I were coming in for a Brazilian wax, which presumably this is a waxing center, you would want to see that. You don't want to see just things laying out, even though that still looks pretty, laying out your fan brushes or your this or your that. Cover it though. That way you can make a showcase of it when you uncover it. Ooh, look at all my things. And then you can go ahead and do what you got to do. But this is how it needs to be set up. Aseptic technique. If anything I would take away from this is just making sure that this is how your station should look. Okay, everything is covered. Everything is clean. Okay, so this gives, these are prettier versions of the rules and regulations, but I would like to show you the LLR website. So actually pull up your phones right now, if you don't mind, your internet browser on your phone. This is teeny on my end, so hang tight. Board of Cosmetology. Pull up, and I'll tell you the exact website. Okay. Pull up llr.sc.gov/Cosmo. The website is llr.sc.gov/Cosmo. There we go. Hopefully y'all can see it, but look at it on your internet browsers. And the Wi-Fi connection is just Kiowa Resort, by the way. It should just be easy to connect to that if you need a Wi-Fi connection. Because I'm going to have y'all look at something in just a minute and find me some things. This should remind you of some of the orientations I've done before, but this is all good to look at. Okay, let's start from the top. Start from the top. So up here where it says licensing and services, Where it says file a complaint, this is where you would file a complaint against someone that is licensed under the Board of Cosmetology or someone practicing cosmetology without a license. I want to make that very clear. I was chatting with one of our graduates literally on the way here. I got here on Wednesday and I'm talking to her on the phone, and she's been working at this medical spa that has been doing everything wrong, essentially. And she's quit there, she's ready to turn them in. And I said, you cannot report them to the Board of Cosmetology. They need to be reported to the Board of Medical Examiners. So if somebody is practicing medicine outside of their scope, that is Board of Medical Examiners. So yeah, I won't go into that unless you have questions, but there's a lot of things you have to do for that kind of stuff, such as good faith exams, proper malpractice, proper on-site supervision. So just keep that in mind. But file a complaint. You can either file it as you, or you can do it anonymously. And remember that it's not about necessarily just trying to put anybody out of business. It's about making sure that everybody is in compliance. For sure, because they're not going to go out of business. Hopefully they'll just be in compliance, and then everybody is doing the right thing. And y'all have some standards, because here you are sitting here. You know, you want to make sure you gain amazing education, come to an on-site class in a beautiful destination, of course. Hopefully you'll have some fun lunch plans afterwards. But just know that this is to make sure everybody is doing the same thing. So that's key. All right, and then we're going to look at the blue section together, so don't go too far away. But down here, under resources, and click on laws and policies. For those of you, I always do a lot of business help for people. I love financial forecasting. I teach a lot of math classes. I was teaching a math and accounting class to my CMA girls the other day, and teaching them how to run payroll and all this kind of stuff. But if you're ever interested in running a business and need some help there and opening your salon, the first thing you want to do is download Chapter 35 regulations. So being on the task force this year, I will tell you, a lot of this is going to change. It just will not be in action until they pass it through in January. When it passes through in January, it could be a matter of a couple of months before it gets posted. So we have to abide by these rules, but I'm going to go through them in great detail just to make sure everybody understands. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, and we'll look at it on my prettier slide deck in just a minute instead of this one. But if you're waiting on a salon inspection, I always say just make sure to have this printed, and they'll bring you your actual, infection control poster and all that good stuff. So that's where that's located, just a couple pages. Then otherwise, there are some new joint advisory opinions down here that I thought I need to mention. Y'all need to print these out. There's one on Botox. Y'all know y'all can't do Botox and any kind of, injectables unless you're a nurse or above. Also about IV therapy, of course. I'm not sure who in South Carolina under the Board of Cosmetology is trying to do any of this. Probably not anybody that y'all know, or of course not you all, but that is not allowed. And then this goes into the RN cosmetic procedures, so you must be an RN, APRN, nurse practitioner, PA, or physician to do cosmetic injections. And then I hate that they have this way. What I told them is they need to do a better Q&A for you guys on the website that actually asks the questions you have and gives the answer. This term should not be microblading. It should actually be micropigmentation. Micropigmentation incorporates anything you would do neck up as far as permanent makeup or semi-permanent makeup to include eyebrows, eyeliner, lips. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So just remember, if that's something y'all want to do in South Carolina, you do need to have your good faith exams performed by a physician, a PA, or an NP. Is that news to some people? I just want to make sure that happens. Your good faith exam needs to be performed by a physician, PA, or NP. And you need to have proper training credentials. Any good malpractice insurance carrier wouldn't cover you unless you did, so you need to have training certificates. And then otherwise, just remember that in South Carolina, DHEC is who governs the tattooing board, okay? DHEC, not LLR. So for this to change in South Carolina, I always remind people that there was a time when tattoos weren't allowed in South Carolina. It was just, you had to go to North Carolina to get a tattoo. So when they instated this rule in South Carolina, it really was tattoos are allowed from the neck down. So anything neck up is considered, for whatever reason, to be practice of medicine. But just so you know, and write that down if that's news, DHEC approves that. So for this to get changed, a lobbying group would have to be paid to go to DHEC or to work for, or kind of on behalf of DHEC and go to the State House and try to lobby for change, meaning that you have to pay money. So it would have to be a group or an organization or an individual that would fund that. And to hire a lobbyist, it costs something like $30,000 or $40,000 just to start. So I see people a lot of times do things like think that petitions and signing petitions will enact change. Unfortunately, that is not how that works. So just make sure you understand a lobbyist would have to make that change. But until then, in South Carolina, that is considered to be the practice of medicine, so good faith exams do exist. And what I will do for y'all after this class is email everybody my consulting documents with all of that. That way, if y'all are interested in it, you have a copy of a physician contract, you have a copy of a practice agreement, and you have some of these kind of rules and regulations that you need to have. So consider that. Okay, now, if y'all will, do me a favor. Y'all got your phones out? You got your internet browsers up? So in the blue section, do you see where it says board orders? Board orders. Okay, I'm not going to click on it. I'm going to give you just a moment. And April, there is some sound that comes out from behind you on that little wall unit. If you just turn it up a little bit, we'll kind of have a little music going for just a moment. And I want y'all to find me two things. You're going to click on, perfect. You're going to click on board orders and you're going to find me two things. Here's your two things. You're going to find me a cease and desist letter, and you're going to find me a fine. Do we have any good music on there? Cease and desist letter, and you're going to find me a fine. So here's what. Not all board orders are negative. Some of them are positive, like you'll see some school approvals and whatnot on there. But otherwise, you'll see a lot of infractions on board orders. And this is publicly viewable for the duration of quite a few years. So I want to see if y'all can find some, and I'll just pick on a couple of y'all to see what you see. And I don't want to hear names. I want to hear what they did. I want to hear what the cease and desist letter was for. And I want to hear what the fine might be for as far as the price that they have to pay and what the infraction was for. This is always fun to look at. Give you a few minutes. And raise your hand when you find something. Hey, Angel's already on it, folks. And you can go back pages too, not just stick to the first page. What you see?
So there's a citation, and it was just on July 5th for an unlicensed male doing a pedicure. And then also the RASPs not following sanitary safety rules. So there was a fine of $500 for the not being licensed, and then $1,500 for the unsanitized RASPs for a total of $2,000.
Yeah. Any comments on that?
You see that a lot, and it's sad because a lot of places don't get.
So the place I go to get my nails done, I was very disappointed the other day when the owner, I know the owners, they're very sweet, but she literally looked at me and she said, you know, in Georgia, that some of these places have the school, pay the schools $10,000 just to give them a license and not go through the program. I said, we don't do that, ma'am, so don't get any ideas. Don't get any ideas. So I thought that was terrible. Yeah. So $2,000, and you can have fines up to $10,000. That's not good. Anybody find anything else? April, you found something? So you don't get to play my game that often. This is exciting. Here you go.
I found on June 5th, there is a actual cease and desist order. It doesn't say what the fine is, but it's an unlicensed salon. So the whole spa was unlicensed and everybody in it, it looks like.
Wow, unlicensed and everybody in it. In South Carolina. And listen, that's nice. Cease and desist letters are just scary letters that are kind of like a warning. It's not necessarily fining you. Did y'all find anything? Still looking? Anybody over here? Come on, Kathy. You find something? Lots of unlicensed?
Uh-huh. More and, oh, I'm not supposed to say.
Oh, yeah,
Or-
don't say who.
Yes, that they were permitted to, do aesthetics and they weren't licensed.
So this is terrible, and I'm glad that the inspectors are taking some control on this. What about you?
anything, just unlicensed people.
How are you? You're so pretty. Good to see you. Unlicensed practice. That's terrible. Anybody else? Chrissy, you found something? You still go by Chrissy, right? Okay, good.
I got a little too formal. Then, okay, so this salon, they got fined, it says $1,500 for dirty buffers, files, and drill bits. And then it says 4 blue packets in sterilizer machine with instruments containing skin. Ew, very nasty. So
Like everybody said ew at the same time. Well, that's terrible. What was the fine for? Dollar amount? $1,500. And I would say too, another thing to think about is if it continues, then they're going to have their license taken away or their salon license taken away. Because what y'all don't see, and you could read this on the meeting minutes for the board, are all the licensees that come before the board to beg to keep their licenses. That kind of stuff happens. As an educator, would you like to share anything? You see anything?
I see an order to cease and desist of a local a salon. I don't see the fine though, but
And it might just be a cease and desist.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I always say this is one of those websites that's kind of fun to look at home when you have a glass of wine or something and pages to read through, but it is good. And so for those of you in the class that are educators, I have at least 2, I think, this is great to share with students and licensees because, you just don't want to be on this list, right? We don't want to be on this list at all. Let me pull this back up. Not wanting to stay on my thing here. There we go. Okay. I like the music. Okay, so this is the website, and just, one last fun thing, because I always like to inspire people to open their businesses because there's so many that aren't doing things correctly, right? So we want y'all to be the ones that do. If you go under licenses and click on applications and forms, right here where it says salon applications, click on salon application and self-inspection form. This is the form. It is only $100, folks. Go and get your salon license. So when I'm, hearing y'all say unlicensed salon or whatever, it is so simple to do it. Just do it, and we can notarize it for you. April's a notary. Hello, she can do it for you for free. We want to make sure everybody has their salon. And another thing that might pass through at the end of the summer, I just want to mention, but it might not happen until next year. There is one thing that I saw on the docket for the State House about mobile salons. So if that passes, check your emails from me and everything, and I will share what that comes out to be. I would love to see that, specifically for folks that want to do beauty buses. I think it's a little unfair that, the food industry gets to do food trucks, and they're inspected, but in the salon industry, you can't do that, right? I see why. In fact, I've asked before when I was on the task force in 2019, 2020, so what's the deal with this? They said, well, we have a hard time now. The inspector team was saying this. They said, we have a hard time now finding people that we want to give inspections to. I said, okay, well, this is what you do. You have all the beauty buses line up at the LLR office and, you just do inspections. And they have to have a dispensary like everybody else. That's how it could work. So think solution-oriented, I would say, and not just a no, but it's not my decision for sure. But think about those things. There are some future opportunities for those of you in this audience that might want to be on the Board of Cosmetology one day and enact change. And I think that's very important for us to all do that, be a part of the change. Okay, any questions about the website? Make sure y'all look at this periodically. And one last thing I will say here. If y'all ever want to attend a board meeting, you'll notice right here where it says under quick links, agendas. You'll see the agendas for board meetings. Okay, they just had one on the 8th of the month. You will also get to see, and these aren't updated as quickly, but you'll see the board minutes. Meeting minutes. So their meeting minutes were not updated recently. Their last one is from April, but that's okay. You can read what happened. And here, of course, is the calendar. So mark your calendar. And some of these, if it says that, if you read a little bit further in them, some of them are on site, but some of them are virtual. So you can actually log in from your home and watch some of these that way. So just keep that in mind. Okay. We're going to cover infection control to the end of this. I'm going to show you a couple things, and then we'll get into some other fun items, such as some techniques and some ingredients and some care plans. But here's the highlight of some of these. So this is the current Chapter 35-20, and write this down for me. The ins and outs of this slide, folks, says that all licensees are held liable. What I want you to write down is all licensees are held liable, and what that means is that wherever you work, it is your responsibility to make sure if you are working under the same roof as someone else, whether you're a booth renter or room renter or whatever, that everybody is in compliance. And that confuses people when I say that sometimes, but that's exactly how this reads, is you better make sure that if somebody in your salon has a dirty wax pot, or if they're not laundering things appropriately, it all can bleed out into what you're doing. So that's why they do this, but all licensees are held liable. So it's not just one person's thing, it's everybody's thing. So this is why many people probably want to go into business for themselves. They can make that, have that control. But keep that in mind, all licensees are held liable. So if somebody's doing something wrong, it could come back on all of us, okay? Then, let's see, another thing that is current, like I mentioned, is under this B section, rules. Every salon and school must occupy a separate building or part of a building which is suitable to render adequate sanitary services. So I get this a lot. Look at this last sentence. Salons must be separated from each other by a solid wall from floor to ceiling and separate entrances. So oftentimes people want to own their building, let's say it's a she shed in the backyard, that is totally fine. Separate entrance, separate everything, wall separation, that's totally fine. I think, Angel, you and I talked about that before, but it cannot be something that's in your home as of present. Now, I have a massage program too, and that's very different for them. They can do massages anywhere. They can do it in their home if they want to. But for cosmetology stuff, there needs to be a solid wall separation. Keep that in mind, okay? And then, let's see, you have to abide by all electrical codes for sure, and then all federal and state work safety laws, just like any other place. This is talking about kind of residential salons too. And then living, dining, or sleeping quarters are prohibited. Let's talk about dining stuff really quick before we get into residential salons. If y'all will write this down, dispensaries. And write down dispensaries need to be separate from kitchenettes or kitchens. Now, be honest if you want to be. Raise your hand if y'all have seen a dispensary in the same room as where someone eats food or takes a break. Okay, that really cannot be, because if you're following the transmission of disease rule, which all of this is integrated into one big thing here, anybody that is eating, you have spit and saliva that's going onto surfaces, whether it's the countertops, the supplies, the tables, whatever. I don't care how big or small the room is. Same thing, when you're cleaning implements, there is a possibility when you're decontaminating it to get blood or bodily fluid onto someone's lunch plate that's being heated up in the microwave in just a second. You know what I mean? So let's all promise each other right now, even if this is what's happening for you, and maybe it's out of your control, let's try to change it. So dispensaries need to be completely separate from kitchens or break rooms. Any kind of comments or questions on that? Okay, let's just make it a thing. Okay, that's just something that we don't want to do. And then residential salons, as of present, must maintain that separate entrance for clients, which we mentioned. No portion of the salon may be used as a portion of a private residence. Entrances must permit patrons to enter salon directly without requiring passage through any portion of the residence. So sometimes this could be a mother-in-law suite or something that is connected to your residence, but doesn't have a pass-through door, so that would be totally fine. But you do have to have separate toilet facilities, if you can see that there, for patrons must be provided apart from the living quarters. So if you have a she shed in the backyard, you would have to plumb it for a toilet or a bathroom, okay, just to keep that in mind. And then you would need that separate from the dispensary too. How many of y'all have seen a salon? I've seen a nail salon that's actually close by here. I will not name any names, that they have their sanitation supplies in the one and only bathroom for the entire nail salon. Is it okay to do that, to disinfect implements right next to a toilet? No. So just keep that in mind. Dispensary is a separate thing than a bathroom. A bathroom is a separate thing than a dispensary. Dispensary is separate from a kitchen. Let's just make sure we understand that when you're choosing places, when you're signing those leases. Okay. This goes into cleanliness and repair, so must keep the floors, walls, woodwork, it's what it says, ceilings, furniture, furnishings, and fixtures clean and in good repair. So this kind of goes into what Angel was kindly sharing. I mean, you can't just have stuff all over the baseboards, all over everything, all over the walls. This is actually where it says that. So you can point these things out. Then water supply. If you've had an inspection, I always laugh about this one, they will check for hot and cold running water every single time. So make sure that your, construction company or someone didn't just shut off your hot water by accident during your inspection. Keep that in mind. Check that before those inspections. And then each salon must provide toilet and hand washing facilities consistent of at least one commode. I love how they say commode, and one lavatory in good working order with hot and cold running water, soap and disposable towels, and it must not be used for storage. Restrooms must not be used for storage. How many of y'all have seen that? Mm-hmm. I love y'all's eyes when I talk about stuff like this. This is a no judgment room, no judgment. Cannot be used for storage, so keep that in mind. It's all listed here. I think when you highlight it outside of those just lists and pages, it really just kind of makes sense. So like I said, I'll send you this presentation. Here's one to keep in mind, and we have to fight people on this on graduation ceremony days, right? They want to bring in their little animals. So here's one. Animals in salons. No person may bring any animal into or permit any animal to be brought into or permit any animal other than a service animal for the disabled to remain in a salon or school. So just remember, no animals in the salon. So I've got 2 points to make there. If you know someone that's a salon owner that just brings their dog to work, that's not appropriate. That cannot happen. But then, if you have a client that comes in that says it's a service animal, you have to abide by that, okay? And you cannot ask for proof. That's just how that works. So just keep that in mind when you're talking to people about animals, okay? And then infectious diseases. Licensees must not permit any person affiliated with a known infestation of parasites or with a known infestation or communicable disease, which may be transmitted, talked about that earlier, during the performance of the acts of cosmetology or related professions. So again, we don't know what we don't know until we know it, but just make sure we try to prevent and try to kind of find out things about clients. I think that's why when we talk about consultation and education, I come sit right on the floor sometimes if I don't have somewhere to sit, and I'll talk to that client and I'll find out everything I need to find out, getting to know everybody, and they will tell you everything that you need to know. We want to make sure everything is safe at all times. Okay, this is a big one. Personal cleanliness. Now, I could go into that a lot more. But this one goes into hand washing, so make sure you're washing your hands at all times. But make sure you're coming to work smelling nice. Of course, I have to tell students don't come to work, come to school smelling like smoke or anything like that. No vaping, no none of that stuff before seeing a client. And make sure your scrubs are clean and not, not in disrepair. So we want to make sure we're washing our hands, make sure we look the part too. Implement supplies and materials. Licensees and students must dispose of all porous supplies or materials which come in direct contact with a patron and that cannot be disinfected. So this goes into cotton pads, nail abrasives, buffers, and neck strips. All right. So who in here, and Kathy, maybe it's just you and me, I don't know. Anybody in here remember a time back in the day in schools where they used to take the porous sponges and launder them in the washing machine? And that was a thing. Maybe Gigi, you know too. Yeah. So that's not okay. And maybe they didn't know then. We'll just give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But now, all this stuff has to be disposed of. I love a nice expandable sponge like anybody else. But if that's just not within budget, then don't get them because you have to throw them away or include them into the price of your facials and then give them to the client. Give them to client to take home. That's totally fine, but they cannot go in the washing machine. So everything needs to be disposable always. I actually love demonstrating this kind of stuff here, even though I prefer a nice treatment table and sheets like anybody else. But showcasing a disposable style facial is not a bad idea when we're in a learning moment like this. So you can be reminded of how to do it, just in case you need to. All right. Then we're getting there. Y'all doing okay? Perfect. It's 10 o'clock. We're going to move on to some other things in just a minute. But all disinfected implements must be stored in clean, dry, covered containers. So off to the side in your notes, write down, oh my gosh, maybe I need to get some new containers and label them. Are they in covered containers? Do I need to upgrade, right? Do I want to maybe buy a new unit that I organize all my items in? We want to make sure everything is covered and labeled specifically, okay? Then, the disinfectant solution shall remain covered at all times, shall be changed daily. So write that down. It says so. Shall be changed daily or sooner if visible debris is present or becomes cloudy, per the manufacturer's label. Biggest thing is cleaned daily. So just keep that in mind. If you see that not happening in your salon, you can call that out. If you see that not happening in someone else's salon that you happen to be spending money in, you can call that out too. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And it must be sufficient to accommodate all implements, including handles. Have y'all ever seen kind of handles of things just sticking out the top of the lid? You can buy extra long wet sanitizers now. They don't have to be just the short. You can purchase them extra long. Or like I said, a Tupperware container with lid is totally appropriate too, as long as it's covered. Then, let's see, all non-disinfected implements must be placed in a closed receptacle labeled soiled or items to be disinfected, yes. And while y'all are taking notes, I'll say this. Like I mentioned, we have a massage program now, but years ago, I had one of my good friends, he ran a massage program at a school close by us. And he came to talk to our esthetician students. And he said, you know, they don't cover infection control a lot in the massage curriculum, and that still is the case. They're very heavy on anatomy, all that good stuff, but infection control is not one of them. So somewhere in Columbia, where I live, there was a massage place that got shut down for several infractions. And if they would have learned all of this, this would not have happened. So 3 infractions. They got shut down by OSHA, by the way, which is a bad sign. So here's what they did. Number 1, they got teed off originally because there were so many people getting MRSA infections from this place and rashes that they could kind of tie back were from this place. So a couple things were going on. Number 1, they were doing sheet stacking. Do y'all know what sheet stacking is? It shouldn't even be a thing that we even know, but can you imagine? They're taking fitted sheets and putting maybe 5 on that treatment table, 1 on top of the other, and then laying a client on it, doing whatever they do, and then removing it and laying the next client down, thinking that it would be just easier for them. What do we know about linens? Blood, bodily fluids, sweat, whatever can go through the linen. So that's infraction number 1. Sheet stacking is a no-no. Number 2, they were taking, where it says soiled linens and items to be disinfected, they were taking their clean linens and putting it in a cabinet. They were also stuffing their dirty linens in the same cabinets over and over and over again. There was no separation of laundry. Infraction number 2. Infraction number 3, in the cosmetology field, we are great about not double dipping. Am I right? So what they were doing is they were taking massage cream and kind of like a tub and grabbing some and massaging, but then grabbing some more and massaging another person and just kind of double dipping. So if you're getting a massage, I know many of y'all are like me, I love a massage, make sure you see that they have the holster, whether it's for massage lotion or massage oil, whatever they want to use, that they're not dipping out of these big old tubs. And they ended up spreading this whole thing and they were shut down. What do y'all think? So we don't want to do that. We don't want to be a part of any entity like that. Okay. Then here's another one. This goes into talking about disinfecting non-electrical instruments and equipment. So before use upon a patron, all non-electrical items, they must be cleaned with soap and water. That's that decontamination step. Then totally immersed. That is the disinfection step. So the very first slide we went over, these are the steps and how they're worded on the LLR website. But there is no, do you see how it's just A and B? is decontamination disinfection. There is no mention of sterilization. So that is on you to do that if you choose to do it, okay? Keep that in mind. And I do think it's a good idea. Autoclaves for metal implements only. Down here at the bottom, maybe y'all know this now. I remember when people didn't know this a handful of years ago, but look at what it says. Alcohol is not an acceptable disinfecting agent. How many of y'all have heard someone say that? I've heard that plenty of times. I took my students years ago to a very high-end spa, okay? And the manager on duty, I was teaching them infection control, and here we are standing in the lobby with this manager. And I said, well, what do you disinfect your items with? Because some people prefer barbicide or they prefer cavicide, leukocyde, whatever. So I was just trying to teach them a little bit about quats. She said, oh, well, we disinfect everything with alcohol. And all the students' eyes got like this big. And she immediately knew she said something wrong, but that's the thing. Remember, alcohol is a degreaser. It's not a disinfectant. So people might get that confused, and I understand why. Some of the equipment manufacturers might say to wipe down, let's say you're using kind of a radio frequency arm or you're using something with a hand piece, they might say to degrease it with alcohol, but you still need to disinfect it with a disinfecting wipe or disinfection spray. Okay, so what did I just say? Alcohol is what? Degreaser, not a disinfectant. That's it. Y'all are doing really, really good. Y'all hanging in there? Yes, we're doing it. Okay, then it goes on to talk about a couple of other things. We might have gone over some of these rules here, but this goes into just making sure everything disinfectant-wise is EPA registered. Hello, my gals. Y'all made it? Love you. Maybe find them some notebooks or something, April. There we go, something for them to write with. But just make sure all of your items are EPA registered. That's pretty much what this one says, okay? And then, let's talk about this one. Towel warmers must be disinfected daily. I have a thing against towel warmers. One of my gals who used to be on my advisory committee, I had to kind of scold her on this one because some of the estheticians working for her in her salon were telling me that they were being told to reuse hot towels the next day in the towel warmer. Is that okay? That can breed mold, bacteria, but anything, you name it, it's going to happen. So they need to be cleaned out every day. I did a little training 2 weeks ago at Palmetto Bluff in Bluffton, and I was blown away because you know what they had over there? They had a laundry service. They had a laundry service. They said, oh, you need hot towels? We got hot towels. How many towels you need? I said, oh my gosh, I feel very, I feel very spoiled. I'm used to doing everything disposable style or making sure we conserve towels, of course, being in a school setting all the time. But just keep that in mind. You can't save towels just because you want to preserve them. They have to be laundered, and everything must be disinfected. And by saying that, I want you to write down, towel warmers need to be left open at the end of the day. And even better than that, after you spray it out disinfectant, I want you to take that water catch tray. Have you ever looked at a water catch tray? Oh my God. You need to take it and you need to clean it out and disinfect that too. So you're going to take it over to the sink, obviously wash it out. There's going to be water in it. Clean it out. Make sure you get all the corners because that's where mold breeds big time. Then you turn it over and leave it to dry on top of the towel cabinet. Y'all know this kind of stuff, but I've seen things over the years and I'm sure y'all have too. Okay. And then this is a thing. Practitioners preparing towels for warmers must first wash their hands or wear gloves. Okay, that's a big one. Guess what you can't also do? You can't put hot towels or towels that will be your hot towels in the sink to then roll them. Have y'all ever seen that? Can't do that. One time I had a facial, not here at Kiowa, but at Freshfields on my honeymoon. And I watched this esthetician ladies fill up the sink with water and put the sponges in the sink and use that for my facial. And I didn't realize it until after the facial was done. But the sink was stopped up, filled up with water, and then she used that for the facial. I also had to show her mid-facial how to do microdermabrasion. Do y'all feel like that? Going and getting stuff done. You're now going to know too much. You know what happens when you know too much? You just can't enjoy life anymore, I'm sorry to say. But I pointed that out to her. I still gave her a tip. I shouldn't have. I should have told her manager, but I said, oh, don't do that. That's not okay. But you can see why the LR really pushed infection control for CEUs. So just think about that. Don't do anything like that. One thing that we're getting really, or we got really serious on for this task force was the pedicure bowls. I always thought they actually were listed very well in the rules and regs with how they need to be cleaned, but you need to make sure to take them completely apart, kind of those little pieces in the drain, pull them completely out, and those need to be disinfected between each client. So if you have some of those nice plumbed chairs, they need to be completely drained and the whole centerpiece moved out and disinfected. So technically, if you're not going to use tubs, pedicure tubs that you can just change and take the entire thing to the sink, you've got to make sure you have enough pedicure chairs that are stationary, that can't move, that you can then disinfect before you, of course, have another client come. You need to have enough to let it sit out and just dry out after it's being disinfected. So keep that in mind as well. We're getting there, I promise. Let's see, this goes into just more removal on pedicure chairs, meaning drain the tub, fill with clean water, and drain prior to filling for client use. At the end of the day, drain tub completely and remove all removable parts. That's the part that is going to change in January. I just want to mention that, if you want to write that down. It says at the end of the day, it's going to now say every single time. Every single time. Okay, drain it completely, pull all the removable parts out between every client. And you can just imagine, I mean, how many of y'all go to the nail salons and they're super fast between pedicures and all of this? So just something to think about, okay? Then this goes into the implements that are semi-critical. All right, let's talk about semi-critical implements. Give me probably 10 more minutes on this specific item, ladies, and then we're going to move on to some other fun things. Y'all good? All right, semi-critical. This means anything that is going to come in contact with blood or bodily fluid, for sure. So other than microdermabrasion wands, which are listed here, another one I want you to think of is extractor tools or tweezers possibly, or those of you doing lash extensions, you're gonna come in contact with eye boogers and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So those are what are known as semi-critical. Okay, there is an enzyme detergent. Do you see where it says enzyme detergent? There needs to be a separate enzymatic detergent for semi-critical items. So it's different than just your quats. Okay, remember that one. And that needs to go probably in a different wet sanitizer, and it's going to stay for as long as it says. Of course, they say a minimum of 15 minutes, rinsing, scrubbing both internally and externally using a wire bristle brush. Who in here cleans out their microdermabrasion wands that way? You need to. With a wire bristle brush in and out, make sure you clean it all the way, semi-critical. Then, when it comes to creams, powders, and other cosmetic preparations, all of the makeup artists in here, or anybody that loves products as much as I do, try to use anything in a pump bottle as much as you possibly can. When that is not going to happen, and it's in a container with a lid, you've got to make sure you're not double dipping, number one, but also put the lid back on. How many of you watch people just leave the lid off and they continue to go about their day? You are actually contaminating it when it comes in contact with things in the air. I mean, here, lift up your hand and do this, everybody. Your skin cells are now in the air, right, everywhere. So just imagine, sorry, but when things are open like that, we want to make sure that we close it immediately and try to keep it contained to the dispensary if you can, and not just everywhere all over the place. Okay, then this goes into the last sentence I want to just highlight, because for those of you that look at makeup counters at the department stores and whatnot, pay attention to a couple things. Number one, it doesn't say this here, but makeup brushes are just like facial brushes. They need to be covered. How many of you see someone using makeup brushes that are just sitting out in cups in open air? Yeah. That happens all the time. It shouldn't happen. They need to abide by the rules just like everybody else. It needs to be covered. It needs to be cleaned and disinfected. Oh man, I took my students one time on a different field trip and asked the makeup artist at the makeup counter, how do you disinfect your tools? And they said, well, every once in a while we go into the mall bathroom and wash the makeup brushes. I'm like, that's not the answer I was looking for. So Things to think about. We want to make sure we're doing that. But the last part is, that says here, cosmetic pencils must be sharpened after each use. We know that. I think we know that, right? So if it's a retractable pencil, it really can't be disinfected. I mean, you could take a little disinfectant wipe to disinfect the surface of that, but you're going to waste a lot of product. So if you're using, pencils on a client, I would say invest in some good pencils that you can sharpen. But the last one is important that I think people overlook. Cosmetic pencil sharpeners must be disinfected after each use. Did y'all know that one? The pencil sharpeners must be disinfected. So if you're sharpening the pencil, then the pencil sharpener also needs to be disinfected after each use too. So something to think about. Golly. So let's get creative for a minute. If you like makeup, imagine your ideal makeup salon or makeup section in your salon. You might want to have a sink with a gorgeous counter. Pick out your whatever countertop you want, and some nice tile background, but that way you can have your wet sanitizer, you can have your disinfectant items for all of your supplies. Makeup chair is here, your displays are here, and you can show to your clients, I'm going to sharpen after each use, and I'm going to then disinfect that sharpener. So things to think about. Okay, we're almost done. So wax for hair removal services. Now, I remember, my mother remembers, she's an APRN, now retired. She also went to esthetician school. I remember being in 8th grade and shadowing her one day when she went to esthetician school herself. And that is when roll-on wax was a thing. So roll-on wax currently is prohibited unless you can prove to the LLR that you are changing out the heads on that roll-on wax. I do want to mention that. So otherwise, don't do it. But I remember watching, they would do a man's chest, do another man's back, do a woman's legs with the same roll-on wax the entire time. Have y'all ever seen that? Okay, so things that might be way back in the day, but it could still happen today. So no roll-on wax. But wax must be removed to a single-use container or removed with a single-use spatula. Another thing you can do with wax is you can actually take a big spatula and put a bunch of it in a cup. Carry it over to the client and work that way. Or, of course, take your big sticks. I like taking big sticks and tearing them in half and using 2 sides of the sticks. You can tear it in half and make 2. There's ways to do waxing where you can still speed wax and not be, infectious in any sort of way. All right, this next part, look at the middle. Licensees must cover treatment tables with a clean sheet of disposable examination paper. I've got some back here, which is what we're going to use on this treatment table today. So please look at what it says. They have to have clean sheets or some sort of exam paper on a table. That has to happen for each patron. And I've seen this happen in medicine quite a bit, where the doctor might bring in a patient and not have it covered, bring in the next patient, not have it covered, and it's just exposing your client to risk. So keep that in mind. Okay. And then towels. Used disposable towels must be discarded, of course. After a cloth towel has been used once, it must be deposited into a closed, vented receptacle. I think that's where some people get a little confused. You do need to have it vented, your actual soiled linens containers, so that an inspector can see that there's some aeration happening. Labeled soiled linens and shall not use again until properly laundered. When it comes to laundering, just a couple more slides here, and then we're going to take a breather and move on to something fun. I would take those exact rules and I would laminate this in a big something and put it on your washers and dryers, especially if you have front desk associates or customer care members helping with laundry, because they don't know if they're not licensed. So used towels must be laundered either by regular commercial laundering or by a non-commercial laundering process, which includes washing on the hot setting. So write that down, hot setting only, and drying until all moisture is gone and towels are hot to the touch from the dryer, for sure. Then what it doesn't say here, but it says somewhere else that I don't have highlighted on this slide, make sure that you're using commercial grade detergent, meaning it can't be organic laundry detergent. It has to be detergent that is specifically going to have color-safe bleach in it. Bleach, remember, is a type of approved disinfectant. Color-safe bleach detergent is really the ideal thing to do. And then if you have that, you're good to go. But there's some just little special things. Another thing also is you cannot just take clean laundry out of the dryer and just set it somewhere and leave it. If you're going to take items out of the dryer, what do? You can't do like you do at home and just leave it in the corner. You take it, you fold it, and you put it in the cabinet immediately. So that's the thing. I try to tell my teachers, do not let students take stuff out the dryer and just leave it there. And I think our students do a really good job of that. But fold it, put it in the cabinets immediately. Cannot just be left out. All right. Then make sure bottles and containers are clean at all times. So again, just kind of imagine your pretty little salon setting. Everything is labeled, everything is organized. Okay. And then we're almost to the end here because this is towards the end. All right. This entire section is changing. I just want to mention because as of May, y'all are able to do a couple of things here, but I want to highlight something which will answer a lot of questions. So where it says, you cannot use anything that penetrates beyond the stratum germinativum layer. I had to kind of educate them, I still am, on the fact that the epidermis itself, folks, do y'all know it's different depths at different parts of your body? Okay. The reason that we chose to go with the 1.4 is that the epidermis can actually be at different parts of the body as deep as 1.5. So if you are going right at the 1.4 or more superficially, then you're kind of in the clear. So remember the epidermis is how many layers? 5 layers. Stratum corneum, lucidum, granulosum, spinosum, germinativum. Y'all know that by heart? Yes. So germinativum is that 5th and final layer before you scoot over into the dermis. Dermis items are out of scope. Everything in the epidermis is in scope. So when y'all are thinking about calling up the board and saying, well, can I use this device or that device? You can probably figure it out on your own. Does it penetrate past the epidermis? If there's no penetration, and I want to mention this term for you guys, write down penetration really means ablation. So if I were teaching y'all lasers, which I am not today, ablation means to evaporate or cut into living tissue. Understood? Evaporate or cut into. If something is not evaporating or cutting into, like actual ablating skin, then you're good. You're good to go. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions on the word penetration? It kind of means ablation, and that term should actually be in these new regs that should come up soon in January. All right, then. The one thing where it says chemical peels, acids with a pH below 3, that is now changing to a pH of 2.5. I disagreed with this one because truly the rule is, and if you know anything about science, medical peels are between 0 and 1.99. Y'all should be able to do things between a 2 and 2.5, but hey, I'll take whatever they'll give me because I'm just here to be of help as a task force member. But 2.5 is where they're throwing that. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at pH levels. But are the inspectors going to come around and probably look at your pHs on your peels? Probably not. But I do have a lot of amazing guides about chemical peels, how to ease people into chemical peels appropriately. Let me know if you would like some of those handouts because I could teach days on all this stuff, but this is only a 4-hour class together. So we'll keep it short. But if y'all have any questions about peels, I love peels. I love layered peels, and there's ways to do it safely for everyone. Okay, and then dermaplaning is now allowed. Are y'all excited? Who in here is already doing dermaplaning? Okay, great, very good. Of course, we knew this should always have been a thing because does it penetrate beyond the germinativum? Absolutely not. Never has, never did. So this should have never been in there. So you're good to go. And just remember micro needling or micro channeling can be done up to a 1.4. So what I'm going to do today is my demo is I'm going to show you how to do dermaplaning and then right afterwards micro channel in at a 1.0 millimeter depth, which seems crazy. Are y'all excited to see some crazy today? Yes. So you can do that. Not everybody's going to be a great candidate for that, but you absolutely can. I'm going to show you how, okay? This is where it mentions roll-on wax is prohibited, just to say that if you want to write that one down. And then UV sterilizers or light boxes. I hate that this one is still this way in South Carolina. You can have one, by the way. Just make sure it is labeled dry storage. If you like the UV sterilizers or light boxes, you can use them, but it needs to be labeled as dry storage because it is still considered prohibited. That's the one thing they didn't want to change. Okay. And then lastly, autoclaves, we mentioned this earlier, must be spore tested every 30 days by an outside entity, always. And autoclaves, if you'll just make sure to remind yourselves that that one is the sterilization step. It is a great idea to do it. And for those of you that are my students or are close by me, come look at our autoclave. We have it in our medical lab if you need to see one. Okay. Then, electric files for our nail gauze or drills not specifically manufactured for use on human nails are prohibited, so make sure it is designed for the nail technology profession, and then you're good to go. Okay. All right, so what do y'all think about that? Good to go? Updated on everything? We're going to be sanitary and compliant. I like it. Okay, let me see where I want to begin with y'all. I won't go through all of this now, because I want to move on to some other fun things. And we're going to start our demo in 1 hour from now. This is an 18-page document where the internet's not going to come up for me. But this is an excerpt from my book that's 18 pages long on sanitation. So if y'all would like to actually print that for your salons, have that, kind of go over that with some of your team members, it is not a bad thing. I've got sample immersion disinfection procedures for tweezers, makeup brushes and facial brushes, aseptic technique, elaborated on, single-use gloves, all sorts of stuff. So very, 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 very detailed. How to treat burns, how to, of course, make sure you have first aid preparations, all of that. So if we have time, we'll come back to that one. Okay, let me move on to not that one. Let's look at these steps. Okay, so for those of y'all wanting to learn dermaplaning, I'm going to demonstrate this today. Try to get this in the middle for you. And who in here would like to see this done today, of course? Hopefully everybody. Okay, good. So this is good. We're going to do this, and I'm going to send you these protocols. The first thing we're going to do in just a little while, we're going to double cleanse. But I want you to write down for your notes. You can do dermaplaning with multiple blades, but I'm going to recommend a 10R blade. 10R blade. So just quick notes for you. And we're going to go over some other things before we demo, but since we're here. 10R blades are amazing because they're best for sensitive skin types. Please make sure you purchase that. I would say this is going to make sure you're very safe with your client. I'll show you a 10R blade, and I'll show you how to curve it to the side and all of that good stuff to get around the nose, around the mouth. You're going to stand when you go up underneath the jawline area, and everything's going to be amazing. I would like to say that I can already tell y'all were probably going to like the oil planing the best. I have options for both, but write down dry planing and write down wet planing, okay? Dry planing should make you just kind of pause for a minute, but you can do this for certain people in here, so you can do it for. Dry planing is great if you want to see what I call the little tumbleweeds of dead skin. We like tumbleweeds of dead skin, yes we do. But you're going to have to use alcohol to degrease. Remember we said alcohol is a degreaser. Do I like putting alcohol on the skin? No, it strips your lipid barrier. So for someone with compromised skin, rosacea, cuperose skin, anybody that has any dryness whatsoever or sensitivities, that's going to do nothing more than make it more sensitive. People that would be very good for dry dermaplaning would be folks with an oilier skin type or somebody with a thickened skin type from being out in the sun for prolonged periods of time. You can imagine those people. That's only two types of people. Acneic skin types or oilier skin, as well as thickened skin that is thickened up, kind of more leathery looking skin from exposure to sun over long periods of time. Otherwise, I've got a couple of fun options for you, and I do want to talk about ingredients a little bit today and see if I can squeeze that in before 11:30 demo, and we'll take a break before that time. But oil planing, you can do this with a couple of different oils, okay? Jojoba, argan oil, all of these wonderful ones. I also love a squalane-based solution. Remember, squalane comes from the fat of olives and looks glowing and glassy on the skin. So we're going to use that. If you want to use that one today, I'll ask y'all's opinion. We can do whatever y'all want to do. But wet planing looks amazing. It's just not going to be the tumbleweeds. It's going to be almost like jelly is what it's going to look like. So we're going to have a piece of gauze handy to the side, and we're going to look and see what that looks like. And then if you were to do dermaplaning by itself, I'm not really going to recommend this today, even though I brought this stuff. You can do an enzyme peel. So the question you want to write down in your notes is what peels are appropriate with dermaplaning. The Courtney Sykes answer is as follows. You might hear this differently from certain people, but I'm just going to tell you, because I've done this a long time, anytime you dermaplane the skin or microdermabrade over the skin, it is never appropriate to do alpha hydroxy acids, okay? Don't do it because you're going to overprocess the skin. So no lactics, no glycolics, okay? But what you can do any enzymes. That is a beautiful thing. And guess what you can also do? You can do salicylics. Why is that? Remember, salicylic is a BHA that works from the top down. Okay, y'all remember that one? Salicylic acid is a BHA, beta-hydroxy acid that works from the top down. That would be really appropriate for someone with big pores or someone with acneic, oilier skin types. I would just keep it at a low percentage, something maybe less than 30%, like a 10 or 15% salicylic would be the best bet. Otherwise, stay away from AHAs. I would also say stay away from TCAs. Raise your hand if you're working in medical aesthetics, however. Okay, if you're familiar with the bioreapeel, we do this all the time in advanced aesthetics. Dermaplaning and bioreapeel works very well together. That is the only TCA chemical peel that is buffered, okay, and has more of that greenish, thick kind of syrupy consistency. That one does not overprocess the skin. So the point of what I'm saying, and for y'all to write down for your notes, your goal should be to not overprocess the skin. And I've got a consent form too on dermaplaning that I'm going to share with you in just a minute. And I'll show you some other things you need to look for in skin, because dermaplaning, while it's very superficial, it can aggravate certain skin types that are very sensitive, but it'll never happen again. The first time it happens, it won't happen again. Your skin has to get used to something like that. Okay. Then we're going to do some fun. I'm going to show you all my fun arm and hand massage. Who remembers all my fun arm and hand massage stuff? Okay, good. And then if my internet wants to answer me today, come on. Scrolling on down. Who in here has done microchanneling specifically? Channeling, not needling. Okay, so yes, if this will show up in just a minute, and hopefully it will. So I'll just go ahead and tell you before it does. Microchanneling, why this is different than microneedling is there is less downtime, okay? Less downtime for clients, which is a beautiful thing. When y'all are thinking liability, which is insurance driven, we want to make sure that we cover ourselves and make sure everybody's safe all the time. If you have a question, go microchanneling all day, every day. So I'm going to show it to you today. And if y'all want to jump in and do some, y'all can. And I only have one table, unfortunately, but if y'all, I've got extra needles. If y'all want to try it on your arms or try it on each other, y'all can try it. Totally fine. We'll use all the supplies we got. Then, what I want to say too, all right, Miss April, you might have to call. Nope, I think I got it. Maybe. We'll try it again. But if y'all will also write down that microchanneling generally goes to a 1.5 at deepest. 1.5 millimeter depths at deepest. He said he would stop back by April, but just maybe have him come just to see. Here we go. 1.5. Do y'all know what microneedling goes down to? Down to a 2.5, which I love. So if it calls for that, then I'm going to say microneedle till the day is done. So you can do deep, deep, deep microneedling at a 2.5 if somebody has deep lines and wrinkles or deep post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation or deep, acne scarring, that sort of thing. But here's some fun things about microchanneling that you can do. Look at these depths. You can choose a 0.25 millimeter, 0.50 millimeter, or now, as of 5 minutes ago, as of May, a 1. Okay, otherwise the next best one is going to be 1.5, which is out of your scope, so a 1. Okay, now with a 1, you're going to see a note here that I do recommend. I'm going to do this without numbing today, which is fine, but you should numb the client for a 1, just for the comfort level. But you can do it very lightly. I trained all the gals over at Palmetto Bluff 2 weeks ago without numbing, and they all loved it, and every single one of them got it done with dermaplaning, and they had the best little time. So keep that in mind. All right, with microchanneling, You can do a couple of different options here. I'm going to show you the 4-pass option per section, which is a little bit different than how some people do it, but this is how I was originally trained in it, which I think is the best way to do it. You're going to do it in 3 sections, and I'm going to tell you the ingredients to look for, not just products, but look at 3 sections. We're going to start with the forehead. We're going to do right side of the face, left side of the face. So imagine dermaplaning, getting all the dead skin off, and then we're going to aerate the garden, so to speak, but putting some amazing active ingredients into the skin, which is going to penetrate better now that we've removed all the dead skin out the way. So this is wonderful. Okay. There are different protocols you can do. So remember, 4 passes forehead, 4 passes here, 4 passes here. I'll always say do a little extra right up under here for the submental fat pad. It helps to tighten that area really well if you want to do it with peptides. And then you can lightly go over the neck if you want to, but generally speaking, just kind of keep it here. You can channel over the lips. If you want to give somebody kind of a temporary lip plumping, that one's good. But write down hydration focus, and I'm going to tell you the ingredients to do. So first and foremost, hydration focus is probably what we're going to end up doing today. It's gorgeous on the skin. We're going to do 2 passes with hyaluronic acid. Remember, hyaluronic acid does what? Holds 1,000 times its weight in water. It's a water binder and skin plumper. So of course you're going to see my product here, but I'm telling you what's in it with the definitions, okay? So hyaluronic acid 2 times, holds 1,000 times its weight in water, water binder, skin plumper. Then we're going to do 2 passes with squalane. Squalane is S-Q-U-A-L-A-N-E, sometimes spelled E-N-E, but true squalane comes from the fat of olives, and it is something that sits on top of the skin a little bit more so, ladies, than absorb. So y'all know how hyaluronic acid has always been the #1 hydrator forever and ever. It goes deeper into the skin though, so sometimes we kind of look at our face after hyaluronic acid and think, golly, it just drank it. So I don't see the hydration. It just drank it. So that's a good thing for long-term hyaluronic acid support, but then you want the squalane on top. That way you can see the hydration and it almost seals in the hyaluronic acid. So that's a great, great one to do. Hyperpigmentation. Here's a couple of things you can do. So 2 passes of hyaluronic acid first, okay, to hydrate. Then you could do 2 options. You can do 1 pass with, and I don't know if y'all know about this one, tranexamic acid. Tranexamic acid is spelled, let me see if I can tell it to you, or let me see if I can even type it here. That'll let me. Tranexamic acid is kind of how it's spelled. Or kojic acid. Remember, kojic acid is a AHA, but it's a brightener. So tranexamic acid is amazing for brightening and lightening the skin today. That's an amazing one that you might see, as well as kojic acid. So 1 pass of that. Very low in percentage, however, so these need to be less than 10%. Then 1 pass with squalane. So imagine, remember I said aerating the garden? We want to make sure for hyperpigmentation that we're breaking things up. So while I do love lasers for breaking up hyperpigmentation, guess what? Lasers aren't the best form of hyperpigmentation reduction for everybody. Some people can't do lasers, but most people can these days. But you know what I'm saying. Break it up first with microchanneling or microneedling. Amazing results. Anti-aging. So I want you to really do 2 passes with peptides. Okay. Peptides are amazing for really giving that lifting to the skin. Remember, peptides help to tighten the skin. They are chains of elastin fibers that actually reside in your skin naturally. They go away over the time. So chains of elastin fibers that tighten the skin. So you might see in an ingredient label something like oligopeptide 5, pentapeptide 17, acetohexapeptide, glutamyl 10. There's 40 or 50 different peptides today. So peptide serums would be amazing, 2 passes. Then you will do 1 pass, a blend of glycolic and lactic acid at a low percentage, so something like 10% or less. Glycolic and lactic acid combined. Okay, amazing. But do you see what I'm doing here? I'm not saying go in with it that way. I'm saying kind of prime the skin first with more of your nourishing ingredients before you take some of your acids and throw in there. This is more of an advanced way to do it, but I want to teach you something new today. And then 1 pass with that squalane, which is amazing. And then for acne, I think people just think sometimes you can't microchannel over acne. We don't want to microchannel over active acne, but if they have a little bit of post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation or you feel like they're healing from extractions, of course, don't do extractions in the microchannel. They're still going to have stuff in there that needs to kind of be absorbed and just go away over the next couple of days. But maybe after you do extractions and they're healing, come back the next week or 2 weeks after and do this acne pass. So you would do 2 passes hyaluronic acid, 1 pass, I would say 7.5% to 10% salicylic acid. Salicylic, there we go. And then 1 pass with your squalane. So that way you are doing a couple of things. You've got those ingredients you're introducing into the skin, ladies, but what you're seeing is the protection of the lipid barrier. So write that down. The goal should be always, when you're doing anything with acids, to protect the lipid barrier forever. Okay? Gone are the days where we're just chemical peeling everybody to death. I love chemical peels, but we still need to think about ways to incorporate ingredients with also giving them that glow. They don't want to leave feeling tight and just not, not set up for success. Okay? Are y'all excited about that one? We're going to do it. Okay, then give me 30 minutes. We're going to go over as much as I can here. I knew 4 hours was going to go by like that because it is. Okay. Let's do a little bit of ingredient education paired with some care plans. We'll break at 11:20 and do our demonstration and then do our fun little photo shoot. Y'all ready for it? Okay. All right, everybody, put your hands out like this. If you're my student, y'all remember this one. So we're going to say acids do what? Break skin cells down. And then nourishers help to build cells up. So don't y'all think like that with your brains? We want to break skin cells down, and then we want to build cells up. So write down for your notes that all clients need both. You're going to categorize ingredients into 2 categories being acids and nourishers. Everybody needs both. If Kathy Roberts, I'm picking on Kathy today, loves vitamin C and is like, Courtney, I cannot stop it with the vitamin C. That's great, Kathy, but where are the AHAs? Or where's your retinol? Got to throw it in there a little bit, right? We want to make sure we're nourishing and also creating mitosis of keratinocytes, which is the goal. Mitosis of keratinocytes are what acids do best, okay? Then, super fast, I can teach this with my eyes closed, so alpha hydroxy acids, there are many. So remember, glycolic acid helps to do a couple things. And I've got lots of notes here. I'm going to send you all these notes. But glycolic acid produces new cells. Just write that down if you need a review. Glycolic acid produces new cells. It's got a molecular weight of 76. That's going to be very important in just a minute. Glycolic acid produces new cells. Who needs to produce new cells? Everybody in this room. So find a glycolic that suits your client, have them use it to some extent, whether it's a glycolic acid toner, which is just water and glycolic acid, or a glycolic acid gel or serum that they can maybe incorporate 3 times a week. Find something that suits them. It doesn't have to be crazy to their skin, okay? Lactic acid, remember, is derived from sour milk. It exfoliates yet hydrates. Write that down. Lactic exfoliates yet hydrates. This is your aesthetics training in 4 hours, okay? The whole thing. Exfoliates yet hydrates. Molecular weight of 90. So here's the rule. Write this down. If the alpha hydroxy acid is less than 100 in molecular weight, it's going to be more aggressive. We're doing okay right now. Less than 100 in molecular weight is going to be aggressive to the client, meaning it's going to tingle. It might cause peeling. You understand? But here's another thing that is going to really flip your mind for a second. So glycolic and lactic are less than 100. So they're going to be more in our aggressive category overall. People just think sometimes, oh, I love the results, but gosh, it tingles a little bit. So remember I said kind of focus on lower percentages or something that's more buffered. But guess what you can do? This might be another question you have. What chemical peels, Courtney, can I do on pregnant clients? And the answer, believe it or not, is glycolic and lactic. And here's why. Glycolic acid is derived from sugar cane, totally safe for pregnant women, albeit aggressive. It can be aggressive up to 60%. Remember, you can do chemical peels for glycolic. Lactic acid usually goes up to 40% at the highest, which is pretty aggressive. You can, of course, keep it low at like a 10 or 15. But lactic acid is also safe for pregnant women because it is derived from sour milk. So just imagine, because what's not safe for pregnant women, remember, is salicylic acid. If they're dealing with hormonal acne during pregnancy, they can't use salicylic. So you're going to switch them over to glycolic and lactic and then focus on hydration and lipid barrier protection otherwise. All right, then for your notes, here's what. You ready? Okay, just throwing it all at you. 5 AHAs that are best for sensitive skin types. 5. I'm going to skip over the next slide and scoot to another one to show you the rest. 5 AHAs best for sensitive skin types are malic acid, tartaric acid. I'm coming back to kojic, hang tight, that's not part of it. 3 is mandelic acid, phytic acid, and citric acid. Okay, I'll send you this slideshow that has the molecular weights of all these things, so that's no worry to you right this minute. But as a reminder, it's going to be 5 AHAs best for sensitive skin types: malic, tartaric, mandelic, citric, and phytic. That is your midterm exam question right there, if you remember the midterm exams. Okay, so that one is important to know. Anybody can utilize those, and in fact, let's say, gosh, I want to build someone up to glycolic chemical peels. You could start them with a mandelic peel. You could start them with a citric peel and then kind of ease them into glycolics, and now you see why. It has to do with molecular weights. That's kind of the simple way to put it. Y'all good to go? The last AHA y'all need to know is kojic acid. The molecular weight does not matter here because kojic really, what that one does is more brightening. So write down that kojic acid is more brightening. It is not lightening because it's not a tyrosinase inhibitor. Remember, tyrosinase is that enzyme that turns on hormonal hyperpigmentation. This is not going to treat that. Kojic acid, because it's an alpha hydroxy, ladies, it makes the keratinocytes in the basal layer look brighter. It's not really treating the melanosomes. That's the key. But is it part of our brightening and lightening protocol? Absolutely, but you need to pair it with a lightener for that to work. So I'll show you some examples. Okay, we talked about AHAs. Then I've got some good care plans at the end too that kind of tie all this together before we break. But salicylic acid, remember, eats away at dirt and debris in the pores, kind of like Pac-Man. You know, eats away at dirt and debris in the pores. It also tightens the pores really tight and pulls the red out. So it's not just great for acneic clients, folks, but it's also good for redness. People with rosacea, they think, oh man, I can't do anything exfoliating whatsoever. Yes, you can. You can do that. It's very antimicrobial, meaning it's going to pull the red out. Am I going to just throw a salicylic 30% peel on somebody with rosacea? No. What, might I throw out a little, 10 or 15% salicylic here or there and then do hydrodermabrasion otherwise or do some other lipid barrier protecting things? Yes. So you can incorporate it and it's going to help reduce some of that redness, and fantastic, like I said, for large pores too. Okay. Retinol, everybody write down desquamation. Good vocabulary word for you. If you want to really impress your clients, you're going to tell them what desquamation is. Retinol means that it's going to increase cellular desquamation, which means skin shedding. You can kind of characterize this with squamous cell carcinoma, which is a type of skin cancer. Squamous cell desquamation. Squamous cell carcinoma is characterized by scaly skin. So desquamation means skin shedding or scaly skin. Retinol speeds up cell turnover, and we love retinol. I'm going to show you some examples of them on another page. Here is one example of a retinol alternative, rosehip seed oil. We've also got many others today, such as bakuchiol and a bunch of other ones. But retinol speeds up cell turnover. But does retinol produce new cells? No. Does retinol eat away at dirt and debris in the pores? No. So if you're trying to work on anti-aging for a client, I would say glycolic for producing new cells. Pair it with retinol to speed up the time. If you're working with an acneic client, do salicylic acid to eat away at dirt and debris in the pore. Utilize retinol as a side piece to speed up the time. Does that make sense? So it just depends on what you're doing. And guess what? If it's non-prescription retinol, that is not a contraindication to other things. I think people very much misunderstand that one. You can use non-prescription retinol during any facial. It's not going to cause any issue, but what you are going to have an issue with are things like, if you go down my list here, we'll start at the top. Retinol palmitate, totally fine. They can use it, least potent. Retinaldehyde or retinol, those are fine. Those are non-prescription. They can use that while you're doing services on them. But if it's tretinoin or tazarotene, which is what's in Tazarac, those are prescription-only items. So write that down if you don't know it. Tretinoin and tazarotene are prescription retinols. They must be off of those at least 10 to 14 days prior to any chemical peels or anything that's considered ablative, such as microchanneling or microneedling. I would say they need to be off of that. Okay. Adapalene is another one that's newer today, and that is just one I've never really seen. Some people use adapalene, but you're going to see some of these other ones a little bit more. Retinol palmitate, retinaldehyde, retinol, and then your prescriptions, tretinoin and tazarotene. Okay, then I need to take this one out of my slideshow because now y'all can't even use this. This is prescription only. And hydroquinone is a toxic chemical. So if y'all follow us on Facebook, you'll notice that every class I teach at the school gets a chemistry lab with me. Every class at some point or another. They get to come in my chemistry lab and we make products together. The reason I mention that is my lab table and raw materials are full of actives and functional ingredients. Functional ingredients being non-carcinogenic. So I'm very focused on non-carcinogenic carriers and non-carcinogenic actives too. So hydroquinone has always been carcinogenic and toxic. I always thought for many years though that gosh, small doses are okay because it is a tyrosinase inhibitor, but I take that back with what we know today. There are other options. You know, I'm going to show you arbutin on the next slide. When I first got into aesthetics, alpha arbutin did not exist. Hydroquinone did, and you could utilize hydroquinone as an esthetician at 2% levels. Now they've nixed that. FDA has completely pulled it. If the FDA completely pulls it, then they know it's toxic and they've known it for a while. So I would just say take that as you would like to take that. I'll talk to you about benzene gases in just a minute, which is another thing that we're going to talk about with the FDA. But hydroquinone is only available in 4% concentrations today at prescription levels, and it is just something that is a tyrosinase inhibitor. It's going to help lighten the skin specifically, but at what cost is my question to you. So here's the thing. You can have a client get on arbutin. That's the best thing you can possibly do. But of course, if they're prescribed something, they need to talk to their physician about getting off of something. But long-term use of hydroquinone is not the best. It's going to get into your bloodstream like anything else that's toxic and cause long-term problems. But arbutin, you'll see this as alpha arbutin sometimes in ingredient labels. It is natural and plant-based, and it is a tyrosinase inhibitor too, which is cool. So we like this, and this just came about in the last couple of years. So what I would suggest, and you'll see here down below, pair it with vitamin C because vitamin C is a brightener, but it's a nourisher. We're talking about acids right now. I would pair up kojic acid with arbutin, kind of in your acid category, and then use vitamin C in the morning. I mean, that would be the best thing to do for hyperpigmentation. And then, P.S., a little bit of tranexamic acid, which we just mentioned is kind of a newer item that's good for tyrosinase inhibition as well. Okay. Y'all learning something? Okay, good. Okay. Benzoyl peroxide is also carcinogenic. If you were in my chemistry lab right now, I'd have my flip chart because I already have these notes on my flip chart that talks about redox reactions, oxidation reduction reactions. So let me give you an example really quick. I use this as an example of how to explain chemistry to students because if you have the skin, let's say there's a block of skin right here, and we're doing a redox reaction, what would we be doing? What's a good example of that? You could do oxidation, which is unfortunately how metal turns into rust. It's how atoms actually have paired electrons stolen from their atoms. It's not a good thing. Oxidative stress causes free radical damage, so it's not good. But an example of that would be applying benzoyl peroxide to the skin. That is oxidation. But let's say you want a reducing agent to come in, a reducer, to create this redox reaction. You could then apply vitamin C directly on top of it, like a really concentrated one, like L-ascorbic acid is the first ingredient. Apply it straight to the skin. It would completely stop the BPO in its tracks because it's a reducing agent. So it's going to stop that as a super antioxidant, anti-oxidation. Does that make sense? So now you've just learned chemistry. But the point is that benzoyl peroxide's been around for years, and it introduces oxygen, kind of oxidative stress oxygen, into the pore, which kills bacteria. But the problem with that is, again, at what cost? It's causing this carcinogenic matter to happen. When I teach about sunscreen ingredients, ladies, I always say no to the O's. So say no to octinoxate, octisalate, oxybenzone, okay? So why does that relate to benzoyl peroxide? Oxybenzone, benzoyl peroxide, they're in the same chemical family. So the FDA just came out in March to say that anything that produces benzene gas is carcinogenic, and you should actually go to your doctor and get checked to make sure you don't have cancer. So how does benzene gas form? Let's say you get chemical sunscreen from a store. Okay, chemical-based sunscreen has all the O's in it, octinoxate, octisalate, oxybenzone. Or you have benzoyl peroxide, you just had your Proactive prescription updated and you got your benzoyl peroxide in the mail. How would it heat up? It's going to heat up to get to you, right? Benzene gas comes out of a product once it's been heated up. So if it's been wrapped in a plastic wrap to get to you on a hot truck, which it did to get to the big box store in a hot truck, or if it got to you by plane and it's delivered to you via Amazon, whatever, then it's heated up. So either way, by the time you open the plastic container, it's already got the benzene gases letting off of it. You're breathing it in, and then you're applying it to your skin, which is the largest organ of your body that absorbs, and everything goes into your bloodstream. So y'all should be concerned about benzoyl peroxide as well as oxybenzone in anything giving off benzene gas. Have y'all heard about this? Okay, you're going to hear about it now. You want to write it down and make sure y'all look that up. Something to think about. Share with your clients. Okay, moving on to nourishers really quickly. Ascorbic acid, even though it's called an acid, it is a nourisher, meaning it hydrates the skin to a certain level. It's not going to peel the skin and cause desquamation, okay? So ascorbic acid, some of my notes in here are that it's a collagen booster, it is a sunscreen booster, and it helps to synthesize collagen and produce it, which is amazing. But it also has brightening capabilities. So we like vitamin C, but remember it is a super reducer and a super antioxidant. So it doesn't play well at the playground with others. I always say it doesn't play well at the playground with others. So just keep that in mind. You want to use this in the morning by itself with your sunscreen if you're going to use vitamin C, or use it at night by itself. Then the next one, we know hyaluronic acid holds 1,000 times its weight in water. It's a water binder and skin plumper. But nowadays, we're kind of pairing it with some better things too, such as stem cells, which produce new cells but also hydrate, and they usually are delivered in kind of like an aloe base or some sort of a, some sort of a plant base that is hydrating in and of itself. I wrote in the first section of the Skin Boss book that I've got coming out this year about stem cell historically in the early 2000s, stem cell technology. Many of y'all today won't know about this. Maybe Kathy, you might remember there was a line out there that got their one-time donation of stem cells from an aborted fetus. Do you remember that line? Early 2000s, and it was very popular for scar revision and post-surgical scars and all that good stuff. You're not going to find that today. And in fact, they found that, and this is newer information, they found that when you take that human stem cells and multiply it in a petri dish, you think it is helping, but after a period of time, it stops working. So it's super oxidized over time. It's not going to work very, very well. So people thinking that human-based stem cells and beauty products were a good thing, honestly, plant-based stem cells are better. And that's some newer stuff you can find on the internet if you care to read on that. But plant-based stem cells are more ethical, I would say. They're using human-based stem cells from umbilical cords to do things at Harvard University, like bring old organs back to life, which I think is fabulous. My dad had a kidney transplant, so anybody that's dealing with transplants in their family, you understand that'll be game-changing in healthcare. But for beautification of the skin, we want to go with plant-based stem cells to produce new cells. Then, peptides, I mentioned this earlier, they come from chains of elastin fibers that tighten the skin. Who in here uses peptides, or you sell them to your clients? Yes, super fabulous for tightening the skin topically, because this didn't exist when I first went to esthetician school myself. I mean, now everything in topical form is more, responsive to your skin, because your skin actually had it and now we're adding it back in. Then, This is just some examples. I know y'all can't read this. I'm going to send you this slideshow. But palmitoyl tripeptide 5, pentapeptide 18, the combo blend of hexapeptide 8 and acetylglutamyl heptapeptide 1, those together can create almost Botox-like reactions in the skin to stop some of those muscle contractions from causing wrinkles. And so I think a lot of people today are realizing that Botox is actually consumed too much, and we're causing ourselves to kind of have like the adverse reaction to it, which is we're not going to respond to it after a period of time. If we've gotten so much of it over the years that now our skin's not even responding to it, you might find yourselves getting it and realizing you need to get it sooner and sooner and sooner, or having to switch over to other neurotoxins. I would say start with the peptides and do things that produce fibroblast stimulation in the skin, like the microchanneling that y'all can now do without having to go the Botox route all the time. Then make sure you write down tocopherol. I was teaching my chemistry lab to the massage students the other day. I was showing them how to make products and add active ingredients into their some of their massage mediums, because they do a lot of lymphatic drainage of the abdomen and legs. I said, oh man, if you add some peptides to that, that would be amazing. But she was getting confused. Panthenol is vitamin E, is tocopherol is vitamin E. So tocopherol is vitamin E. Just remember, aesthetically speaking, that vitamin E is very good at transepidermal water loss prevention, but it can sometimes cause acne. I will say that. So if it's more of an acne skin type, just make sure that your client doesn't have any hidden tocopherol in their products. Or if you're selling them something, sometimes tocopherol can kind of be in there and you accidentally sell it to someone with acne and it just causes this reaction. So just pay attention to that. But otherwise, vitamin E is very emollient and super amazing for hydration, which is good. As we get older, we need a lot more of that. Niacinamide is vitamin B3, and this one's good for pore refinement and tightening the pores really tight, which we love, but without drying out the skin. So if you're kind of comparing it to salicylic acid, this one is more or less for tightening those pores. And panthenol, when I'm teaching my cosmetology students, I teach them how to make shampoos and conditioners and flyaway gels and little serums, which is a lot of fun. But panthenol is actually really best utilized in hair conditioners. It's kind of a thickener, and it's really, really great. But you might see it in some of your thicker moisturizers for the skin as well. Almost to some of our fun little care plans. If y'all don't know what growth factors are, kind of compare it to retinol. Retinol speeds up let's see this. No. Retinol, yeah, that's right, speeds up cellular metabolism, so it's going to help to shed the skin, whereas growth factors really help to kind of upregulate cellular metabolism in more of a hydrating way. So it's shedding the skin, but more from a hydration angle, whereas retinol, you're going to see that shedding skin. So just keep that in mind. Growth factors are great. You're usually going to see them paired with peptides. And then, last but not least, on the ingredients, and then we're going to stop in 20 minutes. Y'all doing okay? Okay. We've got enzymatic, non-enzymatic, and plant extract antioxidants. The one thing to remember about enzymatic antioxidants is that you see glutathione as kind of the base of it. You'll see glutathione a ton. It's a great buffering system for peels and acids. It's a great antioxidant in general. In fact, every once in a while, I like to go to a nurse practitioner that is near where I live, and she gives me glutathione injections in my butt. Okay, so if anybody's interested in wellness and kind of in integrating some of that into what you do or working with these kind of people, glutathione, if you'll look this up, it's very anti-cancer, super antioxidant. Of course, you can get this in an IV drip. I'd rather just have it injected straight up, and it's great for those of you looking to focus in on your wellness, honestly. Easy enough to do. But glutathione. And then non-enzymatic, we talked about some of those, like vitamin E, vitamin C, vitamin A, of course, is where retinol is derived from. And then plant extracts, you'll notice in a lot of your products like green tea, beta-carotene, polyphenols, acai berry, and pomegranate, those are ones you want to see as well. But there are 3 categories of antioxidants. You may not have known that one. Okay. So, we're switching gears to our last thing before our demo. All right, raise your hand if y'all do care plans. Okay, great. The purpose of a care plan is to educate. This is for your notes as far as how I'm putting the treatments together on things like a photogenic facial, a double exfoliation, a radiance reset. You can change the names of all of these, of course, to suit your business. Now, this is definitely more advanced than a regular CEU class should be, but I thought to incorporate some of this for you gals that like some of the more advanced items. So I've given y'all some options here. We're going to get through as many skin conditions as I can and then stop right at 11:30. But anti-aging fine lines and wrinkles is one category, and I've got two different care plans. If you're more aesthetics related and you're not working in medical spa, it's going to be that first top one. But I'll explain both to you and how I would explain it to a client. All right, so when it comes to care plans, what I want you to write down is you need to see clients every, and this depends, but every 2 to 3 weeks if you want to be aggressive. But if they want to be more on that general rotation, I would say every 4 weeks. Okay, 2 to 3 weeks if they want to be more aggressive, but at least every 4 weeks. If they have not come to see you in 6 weeks or beyond, guess what? You need to start this plan over. Start this plan over. So starting from the top, treatment 1 for this client, general anti-aging fine lines and wrinkles. Let's start them on a photogenic facial, which is a facial plus an LED light. Remember, LED helps to build collagen, which is amazing. It's good for healing. Great way to start. Then we're going to do the radiance reset, which is a facial plus a peel with a lactic acid 15%. That would be appropriate because it exfoliates yet hydrates. It's a low enough percentage to get them started. Then, microchanneling for treatment 3. We could do 2 passes with a peptide serum. So these are some other fun little options for you. Or I actually went over this one with you earlier. And then 1 pass with a glycolic and a lactic acid gel, which would be really appropriate there, below 10% in concentration, paired with a squalane serum at the end for hydration and lipid barrier protection. They're going to love that anti-aging lifting because what that does is it produces fibroblasts in the dermis of your skin, which produce what? Collagen, elastin, and glycosaminoglycans. So we like that. Then treatment 4 for that person, and so you don't have to use lasers all the time. I mean, this is the kind of stuff y'all can do with what you have. This is great. You can do a facial plus that glycolic peel 30%. This is where you would appropriately incorporate glycolic acid, the more aggressive AHA at 30%. Then treatment 5, we can do what I would call hydrotype method is what we do at Southeastern. It pairs up hydrodermabrasion with radiofrequency skin tightening. Radiofrequency skin tightening helps to produce fibroblasts as well, and it's non-ablative, and it just causes heat to produce some of that nice fibroblastic support, which is wonderful. And then you can finish them off with just a hydrodermabrasion facial by itself at the end. So this is a great way to kind of get them into some of the more aggressive and then pare it back down for that amazing before and after. Then, if you're working in more advanced aesthetics, you could start them, and you could still start your first plan on dermaplaning too, but you could start this person here, dermaplaning, plus an enzyme peel, see them every 2 weeks. So another option. If you know anything about erbiums, you know erbium YAG lasers are fabulous for completely resurfacing the skin. We love those. The types of ablative lasers are erbiums and CO2s. Okay, CO2s are going to be more ablative and more aggressive, erbium's a little bit less, and you can of course adjust all of these. I always say that a great laser specialist, ladies, is one that can kind of turn down their fluence level enough to be a good microdermabrasion. Okay, you don't have to just ablate people's faces off and call that laser resurfacing. There are different options there. Then you could do the method facial. The method facial pairs hydrodermabrasion with some of the cold globes and all the fun little things that we do, paired with a lactic peel 20%, so lactic acid exfoliates yet hydrates. Then microneedling, okay, not channeling, you could do needling here, from a 1 to 2.5 millimeter, of course within scope with your good faith exams performed. And then peptides and hyaluronic acid, pair those together to add that in. Then I love a layered peel. Don't be scared of layered peels. Y'all can do that without a physician, of course. So you can do layered peels, lactic acid 15% first, leave that on for 3 to 5 minutes, and then add a glycolic peel 60%. For your notes, if you don't know this, glycolic peels at 60%, you can only leave those on for 1 to 2 minutes, and then you must neutralize it. So that's more of an advanced way to do a layered peel. Just make sure you have your neutralizer available, and this is a great thing to do for anti-aging fine lines and wrinkles. One of the most ultimate best things you could do. Then we could switch them over in 2 weeks to a fractional ablative laser resurfacing. So this could be CO2, could be something like the Morpheus treatment that has a fractionated laser setting plus radio frequency. So those are some things you could do. And then microneedling again paired with peptides and hyaluronic acid, peptides for tightening, hyaluronic acid for hydration, and then dermaplaning plus an enzyme peel to finish them off. And by that time, you would see an amazing result. And what you're going to notice about my care plan suggestions is 6 to 8 treatments. It might take less, I will say that, but give them at least 6 to 8 different options with these 2 or 3 week intervals. Of course, 4 is fine. 6, if it's been over 6, you need to start over. Give them these plans because you can't treat all their conditions yesterday. You know, they want this stuff done yesterday, but if you don't educate them on what they need to get done and in this sort of sequence, and you can change the plan. I always say change the plan if you need to, then they're never going to understand why they need to come and see you. And the best business tool I could give you is to pre-sell this to them as a package. Give them a teeny tiny little discount or incorporate this even with their home care. Have them prepay for it. Make sure there's some wiggle room if you need to change up the treatment or something based on whatever's going on in their lives. You can change things up. But prepaying for it, have them come, get those before and after pictures. That's how you do it. Okay. Then, let's see, I've got this one too for more advanced resurfacing. So this is more pairing up the CO2. You'll see that in there at least 3 times. I'll scoot over to the next thing. But this is when I think resurfacing, I think people with massive scarring, because we see a lot of that too. People that just were on, you know, the craziest medications, Accutane, they've got massive scarring. They're going to need more CO2 resurfacing. So it just depends on the grade of anti-aging lines and wrinkles you're treating. Okay, hyperpigmentation, we're going to look at this one. Then there's another hyperpigmentation plan. I've got 10 more minutes. Y'all are doing good, okay? And y'all have got access to all these, don't worry. But hyperpigmentation at 2 weeks. So this is what y'all can do, sitting in this room, every single one of you. Microchanneling number 1, you could do 2 passes with hyaluronic acid to bind water. 1 pass of that tranexamic acid, remember, which is going to be more for brightening. And then also squalane, which is going to be more that fatty acid for hydration, leaving behind that amazing glow. And then treatment 2, you can change it up just a little bit by pairing hyaluronic acid. Now 2 passes of kojic. So this is just changing it up a little bit between tranexamic acid and kojic acid. Treatment 3, because I'll tell you what, I've got some really amazing, profitable, successful graduates that focus in on microchanneling, which is where this kind of care plan comes from. They love it. I mean, it's never a better day to do aesthetics than now when you can make this kind of change in people's skin. We couldn't do this a long time ago. In treatment 3, we're going to focus more on that hydration protocol, however, hyaluronic acid with 2 passes of squalane after. Then treatment 4, we can do kind of a hydrodermabrasion facial paired with a lactic peel 20% because it exfoliates, it hydrates. Then, don't forget that Jesner solution. So we can do a facial with a peel paired with a Jesner. Do you remember what's in the Jesner? I'm going to tell you. I know I'm giving y'all all sorts of stuff. Write it down. So it's 14% lactic, 14% salicylic, and 14% resorcinol. Everybody say resorcinol. Remember, resorcinol is in the alcohol family, so that is why it strips the lipid barrier. So don't concentrate so much on the concentration of the 14-14-14. It's that resorcinol that strips the lipid barrier completely, which is why it's delivering that AHA and BHA where it needs to go. So 14% lactic, 14% salicylic, 14% resorcinol. And side note, y'all can layer a Jesner peel up to 4 to 6 layers. Leave 60 seconds in between each pass. You can really turn a Jesner peel, in my opinion, into a medical peel. You most certainly can. So you can definitely do that. And then the last one, microchanneling number 4 with 2 passes stem cells. So producing new stem cells or producing new cells at this point. Tranexamic acid for brightening and 1 pass squalane. So this is really kind of focusing in everything you do on microchanneling and peels, hydrodermabrasion. You don't need a bunch of equipment to accomplish these goals for this client. Then you could do this advanced one that kind of compares or pairs together lasers. I love pairing lasers, so I'll go over this and see what time we have left. So you could do 2-week intervals, and you can do a double exfoliation, which is a facial plus microdermabrasion and a peel. So that's the double part. So you're going to add in the kojic acid peel at 7.5%. Great way to start, but again, you're pairing it with microdermabrasion. Then treatment number 2, microneedling. Okay, so this is different than channeling, but you could choose to make that change if you want, needling or channeling. Remember too that microchanneling is more of a stamping pattern, which I didn't mention earlier. Microneedling is more circles or hashtags. So you see why I say less downtime. If you're going in and out, more stamping, less downtime, less ripping or shredding a part of those pores, okay? Whereas microneedling is circles or hashtags. Just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. But here we're going to do stem cells and hyaluronic acid, which is amazing. Treatment number 3 in 2 weeks is going to be a hybrid laser resurfacing, which is pairing CO2 with 1570 nanometer wavelength. That is another class entirely if you don't know what that even means. But you would do that. You can do it at a fluence level, or excuse me, a micron depth of about 4 to 6 microns, which is like a good microdermabrasion, honestly. Pair it with IPL, intense pulse light for pigmented lesions in the same session, because remember it goes a little bit differently. So whereas your laser resurfacing, ladies, is going to go more like the 1570, 2940 nanometers into the skin, IPL is going to go more like 515 for pigmented lesions, 590. So it's more superficial, so you can pair them together. Then microneedling number 2, stem cells and hyaluronic acid. You kind of see where I put number 1, number 2. The reason I like to show this out here, and I taught this lesson kind of in a different way last year at a trade show to a bunch of doctors and medical people, because they don't know how to pair this stuff together. They're usually sold these machines and these devices from a sales representative, and they're told that they need to do series of things with this one device. That's not really how you want to do it, because then you're confused and you're wondering, well, how do I take everything else on my menu and pair it together? This is how you pair it together. So take it with a grain of salt, what you're being told by a sales representative. Put your thinking cap on, because this makes sense to y'all. I know it does. Think of your menu. Think about how to pair it with the machines that you have for the success of your client, because you always want to be changing, which is amazing. Always be changing and you're good. Then treatment 5 is that facial with a peel, but we're layering it. So this is kind of taking it to another level, but I like it. So 7.5% kojic acid, 30% glycolic acid. And of course, what you're doing here, by the way, is you're waiting 3 to 5 minutes before you put that next layer on. Then TCA peel by itself of 15% to cap it off. TCA is usually self-neutralize, but if it makes you feel better to do a neutralization, that's fine. To neutralize, you wipe off with water. It's going to stingle, give them a fan. Then you take some baking soda and water, or a neutralizing solution from the manufacturer. Shake it up, because it gets a little bit settled at the bottom. You apply it to the skin and almost roll and pat, and that neutralizes the skin. So I always say, if you're neutralizing peels, make sure you remove with water to get the peel off and then neutralize the skin. You can still kind of almost over-process someone if you don't do it that way, so just remember that. Treatment 6, if you need to go this far into 6, 7, and 8, you might see some amazing change after those first couple. You could do that same CO2 plus 1570, that laser resurfacing, pair it with IPL for pigmented lesions number 2. Generally, IPL for pigmented lesions takes about 4 sessions. However, you see the best result after treatment 1 and treatment 2. Treatment 3 and 4 just kind of like tapers off from there. So it really is appropriate to do just these 2. You would see amazing results. You could finish off with dermaplaning and an enzyme peel for treatment 7. And this is kind of when 7 and 8 with that hydrodermabrasion at the end. This was what I would call maintenance stage. So then you get them into maintenance. Maybe you prolong them out. Maybe they don't want to come in 2 weeks. Maybe they want to come every 4 to 6 weeks at that point. You've gotten them over the hurdle. They're seeing the results. Now they're in maintenance, and they come and see you on that general rotation of every 4 to 6 weeks. This is more for kind of serious skin conditions. Okay, what did y'all learn this morning? A lot of good things? Okay, come show me your notes. April, you want to turn on some music a little bit? We'll take a little 10-minute break and then come back in here. But show me your notes really quick. Always, always. And of course, normally you want to make sure you have a bolster up under her knees, as well as sheets and blankets and all that good stuff. I just got this nice new treatment table that's hydraulic, and it lifts up the head and everything like that. So we'll deal with this one for today. That'll be okay. All right. So when you're doing aseptic technique, remember, cups like this, if you're going to go disposable, need to be turned over. Showcase that to your client. I'm going to now turn this over this way, and we're going to pour a little bit of water in here. And normally, you need to make sure you have your counter space a little bit closer, but that's okay. We're going to take some gauze and utilize that. But we're going to make sure we give her a nice, do you mind opening this one for me? I'm sure I could do it. Nice medium pressure when it comes to her cleansing. And we're going to use a little bit of an aloe-based cleanser, something very nice and nourishing to the skin, nothing too dry. And I'm also going to show you the 10R blades. We'll talk more about dermaplaning. So if y'all feel like y'all need notes while you're watching, that's totally fine. Thank you. We'll grab a little bit of gauze and come on over here. Okay. So we're going to take some gauze and we're going to dip it in our water. And I might sit, I might stand, we'll see. We'll do a little bit of both. We're going to make sure we wipe down the skin. And normally I'd have you in a nice little spa gown. We would do some steam, some hot towels. I love doing all of that. Okay. And for today, y'all do not put this in a sharps container. That's just what I have available. So I'm just going to place it on the sharps container. That way everything is contained. We're going to hand sanitize. Okay. And normally as well, I would say you're going to make sure to have a fan brush. I love a fan brush, but for now we're going to double cleanse this way. Nice medium pressure. Morgan, when was the last time I did a facial for you? That was a long time ago. So always medium pressure. What's the purpose of doing a double cleanse? Tell me. Absolutely. So it wants to degrease the skin, get off dirt, debris, makeup, environmental toxins, and wants to cleanse the skin every single time. Man, I wish you had a lower little top there. I'd get y'all up in there too. Okay, we're gonna double cleanse. So no need for any kind of physical exfoliants like a scrub when you're fixing to do a dermaplaning. And I wish our light was a little bit brighter in here, but if y'all want to get close, I'm going to show you how to make sure you dermaplane and all that good stuff. So hang tight. After second cleanse, we're going to grab some gauze. I would not try to move that. It might fall over on you, but you can try if you want. It's okay. Going to wipe everything down. So sometimes, I mean, you can just do a disposable facial. I think the cool thing to teach, especially our students, about stuff like this is we go a lot of times and go to little nursing homes and do facials on kind of the little old ladies and men. And you have to do a disposable style, so it's good to know how to do that. Get a little bit more cleanser. We'll get all that residue off of there. Oh, now I'm creating more of a mess. But then we'll get into the dermaplaning. This now goes into your trash can. Hand sanitize. Grab a little bit more of our cleanser and double cleanse. So yeah, let's talk about dermaplaning a little bit and some of the sensitivities. So the first thing, and I'm going to email y'all that consent form. First thing when it comes to dermaplaning is to let them know that irritations and rashes can happen. Now, I don't want y'all to panic about that because I would say that's probably 1 out of 50 people that would happen to. So it's going to happen, but not so often. You just want to make sure people do understand that because it's almost like when I'm teaching lash extensions. I say that blepharitis is normal, meaning the eyelids can become a little bit puffy and then it'll never happen again. It's more like an irritation. So it's not an allergy, it's more of an irritation that most likely will not happen again. Have y'all ever kind of noticed that? Has anybody in here received dermaplaning and you get a little bit of irritation with that? It can happen. Hello. Okay. Morgan, what you been up to? Working in the field? All right, I'm gonna get them. I'm gonna wipe you one more time. put all of this, of course, over here. Anytime you step away from a client or even circle back around to your countertop, I want y'all to hand
Serving the Low
sanitize.
Country for
Ideally, I want you to
35
do it over
years,
their
right from the heart of
face so they
Charleston.
can
Baker
smell
Buick
it.
GMC
Make sure they
has
know
the
you're doing
greatest
it.
savings available in the market.
Then gauze
with plenty
again.
of brand new inventory
And then
to
we'll
choose
get into
from,
our
with
dermaplaning.
discounts up to
And I'm going
$15,000
to
off
show you
MSRP.
a 10 arm
Sign and
plane.
drive on a new
And I try not
2024
to keep
GMC
brand
Terrain.
specific. I mean,
Zero
y'all can
down.
obviously see
Pay
everything
nothing
that I'm
until the
doing.
second month.
April, do you
Online
mind
at
hand
Baker
sanitizing
Buick
anything you need to dry
GMC.com.
off?
All roads lead to Baker Buick GMC. We are
The one thing
professional
I want you to
grade.
notice is I like to do things that are very sterile. So instead of using the autoclavable handles for dermaplaning, I wouldn't suggest doing that. I would go completely disposable the entire time. Perfect. Pull me out a blade out of here for me. And just do that. I'm gonna wipe everything down. I'm gonna make sure I put a piece of gauze here for the dermaplaning. Make sure the skin is not too wet, but we are gonna decide now if we're gonna do wet planing or dry planing. What would y'all like to see? Because she could do either one. What y'all thinking? Figured I would say that. Lift your chin for me. Perfect. All right. So what we'll do is we'll pull over some serums, and we can do this a couple different ways. I'm gonna dry off my gloves really quickly. We're gonna do, oh yes, a little bit of the squalane paired with a little bit of this one has got your avocado oil, macadamia nut oil, grapeseed oil, jojoba, tomato, and some noni seed oil, so that'll be fabulous. Okay. Do you want to take a picture of this disposable scalpel right there? That's your 10R, okay? Or just identify it, there you go. Make sure everything is sterile. And I will also say too, and normally you'd have this kind of right here. We're gonna take a look at this. This is your blade today. If you can open your eyes, you want me to wipe you again? Let me wipe you one more time. But make sure your client can see that. Everything is clean before you go and open it. We get you all cleaned out here. Okay, so 10R blades, you'll notice it's gonna be better than shaving, but not sharp like a surgical blade. Okay, so there's kind of a key point to that. Let's make sure you can open your eyes, okay? You doing okay? It probably did, and you're a student again. Yes, ma'am. You wanna open your eyes? You feel okay? Perfect. I'll hand this back to you, thank you. Okay. All right, so always open from the side that the handle is on. And if there is a lot number, it's a good idea to put that in their notes if you have that capability. And usually there is. There is a lot number right there, lot number. And that way, just in case something were to come up, liability-wise, you would have that in your notes. So just keep that in mind. So here we go. Nothing to be scared of. You excited? Perfect. Let's start up here, and we'll take this off, but we're gonna make sure we put our oils on without harming ourselves in the process. Just make sure we pull this off. Here we go, okay? So we're gonna do a mixture. I'm gonna take some of our nice oils, and just remember, not all oils are made equal. Some of them are more occlusive, these are not. So we're gonna add some of this to the forehead. And it's just gonna make her skin look so glowing, so dewy. And we're gonna add a little bit of the squalane there. And you want enough. So even when you microchannel, you're gonna do that with serums as well. You're gonna have a lot of serum. So I would say this treatment, if you're gonna do it together like this, I wouldn't really charge anything less than $250, $350. And that's on the low end. Get some paper towels just for myself. Well, thank you. That's the thing, you don't want your gloves to be so oily when you're doing this, so maybe have a little towel handy. Okay. Here we go. I have this right here. Okay. This is going to be where I put all the dead skin. Are y'all excited to see the dead skin? She might not even have any dead skin, but we're going to see. So you're going to angle this at a 45-degree angle. Don't move your forehead. You got it? We're going to pull this towards us. So when I'm teaching this class, I always say I'll stand in certain parts of it. and I'll always pull it towards me. So I'll stand so I can show that to you. And we're going to wipe all that off. So now you just see it's going to be combined with hair a little bit, but dead skin. So here's the thing about dermaplaning. This needs to be explained to clients that it's for dead skin removal. It's not for the removal of vellus hair, even though it does remove vellus hair. But if they have vellus hair that is not removed by this, that needs to be removed with waxing. Or if it's hypertrichosis or hirsutism. Hypertrichosis is hair where hair does not normally grow, so vellus hair that's darker and thicker. Or hypertrichosis is upper lip chin hair that's more hormonal induced. That's usually thick and dark. That needs to be removed with laser hair removal. So we just need to make sure clients understand this removes hair, but that's not the purpose of doing this, right? Okay, and then
DigiCert Trust Lifecycle Manager helps you do what your organization needs PKI to do. Prevent outages, manage risk, and enforce policy. That's digital trust for the real world.
And you see how what I'm doing is I'm kind of doing this number and putting a finger or some sort of grounding hand here and very quickly moving across the skin. You don't want to do long drags and you don't want to do this. Sometimes I'll teach beginners and they're just kind of like doing this in the air. No, you have to have a steady hand and we're just going to kind of teeny tiny movement, almost flat to the skin, not like this, 45-degree angle, almost flat, almost flat. You do have some dead skin. So this is good. Your makeup's going to go on better. You're going to feel fresh and new, especially after it's been hot and humid and all that dead skin cell buildup in those pores. Oh man, are y'all doing okay with all this heat? Making it? All right, here we go. And the nice thing, remember it's going to look like jelly as we put there, but the client can see it. And you can get pretty close to the hairline. Of course, we are removing some vellus hair here in the hairline. You don't want to get too far back in the hairline, but a lot of dead skin too. I usually feel around for dead skin. Perfect. But seemingly she's got gorgeous skin, but this is going to make sure everything else is good to go. So I'm seated for this. Look at all that good stuff right there. But if I were to stand, and you have a hydraulic table, and you want to stand, this isn't going to fall off, turn this way, you could pull it towards you this way. So as long as it's always being pulled towards you, you're fine. So you could pull it this way. If I were sitting behind her, it would be coming towards me, right? So either way, this is kind of like when I'm teaching permanent makeup, which we do every Tuesday. I always say pull it towards you. So if I have a rolling chair, you can pull it towards you here. You could roll over here, pull it towards you there, whatever works for you. And I oftentimes get the question, can I go over an area more than one time? You can. I just wouldn't do it so much. Maybe once or twice, you're good to go. But if you're doing it this way, then you're going to get a good pull the whole time. Okay, that's forehead. Now, we're going to do left side of the face, right side of the face. I'm going to apply this here. Okay. And there's a little finessing to the side of the face and as we get around the jawline. So hang tight there. And around the eyes. Okay. So here we go. We get a little bit more of the squalane. But people have hair. They do. And dead skin. And dead skin. And again, remember, if y'all were doing dermaplaning by itself, y'all could absolutely pair it with an enzyme peel. In fact, if she's good to go, we could still enzyme peel her at the end, but don't do anything too crazy. All right. Sorry, here we go. Okay, so scoot over here. Always hold down right there. This is the best part. It's getting right here. A lot of people, whether it's, like I say, the vellus hair or dead skin, people tend to look at themselves straight forward. So being able to get all of that dead skin around here and even almost behind the ears is really key. And I'm holding the skin taut. So if you've got a client with looser skin, you're just going to need to hold it tighter in that area. No big deal. She's also got beautiful skin, like I mentioned, but a little bit of papules, no pustules, I would say. So just be careful. We don't want to cause any bleeding, of course. Right here. Does this gross people out, or y'all excited about this? I love it. And clients, pay attention. So do not miss a spot. That's why I say always have a pattern. So do your forehead, do left side of the face, right side of the face. Make sure you get those, the nose area, around the mouth. Good to go. And ask the client, do you feel like I got everything? We're always laying flat down here. Another question on the consent form is, can you do this on a pregnant client? You can, but they cannot lay flat down. That's the one thing to remember with your chin right here. We're going to get around the mouth, but I'm going to do her chin as I'm standing. All over your face, you okay? Definitely got some dead skin there. You can do that. On a pregnant client, just make sure they are kind of propped up. Okay, as we're getting close to the nose and the eye, I want you to do a couple things. You don't want to go towards the eye. I'm kind of getting right over this hurdle. If we're going to get around the eye, we can stand or move our chair and come at it like this towards the nose. So hold it and pull it towards the nose. A lot of people get some of those little clogged pores around the eyes. Y'all notice stuff like that? Shouldn't really have that a ton. And then you can get the side of the nose. So far, so good, right? With this chin R blade, it's doing a really good job without being too aggressive. There's another box of disposable blades I have that I didn't bring that one today, but it's got a picture of all the variations of these. Tuck your lip for me. Perfect. And stay tucked right there. There are so many. There's some that look like it's super pointed on the end, almost like you're going to murder somebody with it. We don't want to do that.
Answer a few questions. I'll look at your skin and prescribe you a
And
personalized
again, I'm kind of pulling this way towards me, towards the side.
skincare.
Women that have those vertical lip lines. Oh, commercials. Vertical lip lines, you want to make sure you get those too. Get right up under the nose. Some people get some of those little pustules around the nose. You're doing okay. Perfect. Lift your chin, let go. Right up under here, under your lip.
Can I try?
And you don't have to ask them to tuck their lip, but sometimes you can if you feel like you can't get it. Do a little bit more our serum up under here. And I'm going to stand and have her lift her chin. It really aggravates me if I see a student just sitting back here and not standing for this part, because can I see this? I can't see that from this angle. So just make sure you stand at least for that part, okay? And of course, I would say, excuse me, I would say if you had a hydraulic table, lift it up here. So when I was doing a training a couple weeks ago, we were able to lift it way up here. You could stand, and I just thought that was even better than sitting. So that's an option. So right here, almost flat to the skin, and now I can see what I'm doing. Now I can see what I'm doing. And you don't have to go too far down, but that way you can get over that jawline, which is the bony area. Bony areas are where you can cut people. And if you're gonna cut someone, it's gonna happen on the chin. It's gonna happen on the chin. But I can't wait to show you all your dead skin. Oh my goodness. So do y'all remember what I said about the 1 millimeter microchanneling needle? What do we normally want to do with that? We normally want to apply what to the skin? We normally want to apply numbing. So I'm not going to do that today, but I want y'all to remember to do that with a 1. She can take it. You've done everything else with us, haven't you, Morgan? Did you do lasers with us? You performed a bunch of them, I know that. What was your favorite service to do? Oh, dermaplaning. Okay, very cool. We're going to scooch over here. What was your favorite laser to perform? This was a couple years ago now. For pigmented lesions, you could do it for acne, you could do it for skin tightening, rosacea, vessels. Sometimes you can do it for bruising. So far, what do y'all think? Do y'all like how the skin glows after this? And you just leave that serum on the skin. Gorgeous. We're actually going to channel in some other things. I've got some peptide stuff back here as well as some hyaluronic acid. So we'll put the oil away, but we'll do that for the channeling. Okay. All right, I'll hand this back to you. Oh, thank you. Okay, if y'all haven't met April, April is amazing. She also went to esthetician school. She's our chief procurement officer, which means she's in charge of purchasing at the school, probably one of the more important things. But you get to shop all day, which I think is fun, you know, so she gets to make sure we have exactly what we need all the time. So yes, yes, yes. So we're starting over here, pulling down and then up. It's easier said than done, but once you figure it out, it's pretty simple. What I like about this too, guys, is remember with microdermabrasion, it kind of pulls at the skin. Not great for people with rosacea or telangiectasias, broken capillaries, but this really is. I was just answering this question for one of my graduates this morning that texted me. She has a client today. She said, oh my gosh, can someone with rosacea be irritated by dermaplaning? I said, anybody can be irritated by dermaplaning, but if you're comparing it to microdermabrasion, is the better option for them because there is no vacuum suction. So they're not going to have more broken capillaries that you can actually create by accident. Really good to do. And just make sure they sign those consent forms. Like I said, I've got a non-branded one that y'all can utilize this week with your clients. What I like about all of this too, even with the microchanneling, is there are no cords on the floor. This is going to go in a sharps container. The microchanneling is battery powered. I think the future in aesthetics is using more handheld tools and not things that constantly have to be plugged in, which I think is nice. If you know aesthetics and you've had a treatment room on your own, you understand. You don't want to have a bunch of power cords and strips everywhere. You feeling okay? Now, Morgan, when was the last time you had dermaplaning? Because I'll tell you, just like I tell everybody else, you could get irritated from this today. And if you do, I want you to take a Zyrtec, which is going to reduce any histamine response, and you'll be okay. When was the last time?
I dermaplaned my upper lip this morning.
Okay. You're a true esthetician. Who in here dermaplanes their own skin at home? Yeah. So do I, but I'll tell you, it's very hard to get a leverage like this if you're doing yourself. So find a partner. See if you can find someone who'll do a good job like this on you. So you can't really do a good oil plane like this without accidentally cutting yourself just because of the leverage on it. We're coming out the side here. And remember with that eye, I'm actually going to turn a little bit so I can go towards the nose for that one. You have plenty of dead skin. Good for showcasing. Good as a model today. Okay, let's get around that eye. So we'll turn, nope, I'll turn this way. So towards the nose on this side, towards this side. If you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, you're actually going to do it this way and then pull this way for your left hand. There you go. Just keep in mind it needs to be pulled to the side. Now with the nose, you can get on the side a little bit, but not really on the bridge unless you're careful. So you can still remember do some of those enzyme peels with it or salicylic to kind of clean out some of those pores. Okay, easy enough. And tuck that chin, or tuck the lips, excuse me, not your chin. Right here, vertical lip lines are important. Make sure you get those for any clients. Okay, so who in here has not seen microchanneling? Okay, very good. We're gonna do it. Are you excited about doing it? You gotta do it now. As soon as you learn it today, you gotta go out there and do it. So make sure we get everything. Make sure you'll also have some light so you can see and make sure you've gotten all the dead skin too. Okay, relax your mouth, lift your chin. Gonna get right up under here. Right up under here. But yeah, I'm so glad y'all can do dermaplaning now. I've been asking and fussing about this since 2017 when that regulation came out that said you couldn't dermaplane, and honestly, that was somebody's oversight, not realizing what they were doing. When you put something in writing at the State House, it's going to stay there for a long time until it is resolved and changed, and that's kind of almost takes an act of God a little bit, doesn't it? Okay, lift your chin for me. Gonna get right over here. I've got a little bit more of my oil. So when it comes to doing dermaplaning as an oil planing, I think that's kind of nice. If you've got dry planing, you've got a bunch of dead skin that could fall off your table. So this kind of coagulates it and keeps it all in one place, which is nice. Look at all that. What you gonna do now? Go somewhere fancy tonight. I always think that if you could really make your skin look amazing and condition your skin, you don't need a lot of foundation. You know, put on some color, highlighter, lips, eyes, whatever, but your skin should speak for itself. Okay, lift your chin. What does your tattoo mean right there? What's that one mean? That one. Really? I like that. Okay, just make sure you stand for this part. Perfect. And since we're going to get into microchanneling, for those of y'all that haven't done it, I might actually let you do a little bit, as long as you're okay wearing medium gloves. All right. Okay, camera, do you want to see? I don't know if you see that, Thomas. All the dead skin, you. But so good. I'm going to show you too, most importantly. Morgan, you're going to be on camera forever with your dead skin. Is that okay? Isn't that funny? Because you look at your skin, you don't think that it's that way. So that's neat. Okay, where does our dermaplaning scalpel go? Sharps container for sure. I'm gonna stick this over here and I'm gonna hand sanitize and I'll grab everything else too. Okay. All right, next thing is we're gonna do microchanneling. Oop, here we go. We'll put this here, hand sanitize one more time. All right, so these come in different depths. Remember, you can do a 0.25, 0.50, 1.0. I'm not necessarily advocating for this company. They just happen to be the ones that make the best machines today. This could change tomorrow. And what I like about it is it's not like micro needling where you can dial it in and out. Oh, you've already got it. But anyway, there's more in here if y'all want to play. Thank you. And we'll open it up. Oh, you already got it? Looks like a little gun. I might have you remove it since I've got hand sanitizer on my gloves. And got a little battery. All right, batteries do need to charge, so they will charge, but we've already done that part. We're gonna place it here. You can hear it, it sounds like a little tattoo gun, and that's okay. So when we go to open it, first things first, we show the client, this is your fresh new needle. We do that all the time, okay? Now, I might grab, just because I have OCD. Anybody else have OCD like me? Oh, man. I want to wipe things off around you. Thank you. Sanitation. There we go. Okay, so she's opening it. Thank you so, so much. This has got a little ball here. The ball goes in here. Use a little bit of force to put it on. This is a cap, so save the cap. That way you can put it back on and then pull this off afterwards, which is fantastic. Okay, now let's grab, oh, what you got? You got all sorts of stuff. We're gonna do a couple different ones. Let's do some peptides, let's do some hyaluronic acid, then we'll finish off with some squalane. You excited? Who in here hasn't done this or wants to do it? You? Who else? Okay, grab some medium gloves. Go ahead. All right. Oh. There we go, take the lid off. So we're gonna do a little bit, brand new bottle, a little bit of hyaluronic acid. First, what does hyaluronic acid do? Holds 1,000 times its weight in water, so water binder and skin plumper. We're gonna do 4 passes. We'll do 1 with this one. We'll do 2 passes peptide. We'll do 1 pass squalane. This is a 1, Morgan, okay? So you could see a little bit of blood spill with this. You really could at this level. At 0.25, 0.50, you won't. I think she'll be okay because I'm not gonna put a lot of pressure to it, but if you're gonna see it, it's gonna be on the forehead because that's pretty bony. Turn it once. Okay, you ready? You okay? So this is aerating the garden, so to speak, and we're doing it in such a way to where we have a pattern. You can channel over the eyebrows. That actually helps to grow the eyebrow hair, which I think people may or may not know, which is fun. You okay? You're doing great. I like to hold my finger on the battery just because, I don't know, it's just something that I do just in case, but it most likely will not fall off. I just like to make sure. Okay, Who's next to me? You ready? You want to try it? All right. So did you watch how I did that? So that is a great question. We've got a couple different ones, Megan. I'll send you some options. We've got a prescription one. We've got some other that we use for micropigmentation. And I can't remember what they are, but I'll send you what we use. We've got a couple different options. We do. So at least for 10 minutes. If you're gonna numb, what I do is I'll put numbing all over, but I'll do it in sections. That way you can leave this numb while you're starting on the forehead. But what's this pain scale for you? 1 to 10. You okay? Wow, you're tough. And I'm gonna help you. It's just an annoying feeling. It'll get better too on the cheeks because you're fattier in the cheeks. We all are. Okay, so now we're doing peptides. You're gonna do 2 passes. Turn that 1 time. 1.0, which y'all have not learned. So get closer. Start over here, boop, 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 boop. It's just stamping, do a tester, perfect, and do it in a line. So like I said, in those protocols, a 1, it's a good idea to numb them. She's, been around, so she understands what to expect, but some clients might find that a little spicy. And you can absolutely pair this together with dermaplaning, which I think is very neat. It's a good combo thing that you can do for a client. I would build them up to that, though. I wouldn't say, brand new client, let's do this together, but build them up. Look at you. You're doing it. All right, you stand right here. You're gonna do the next one. You're gonna do the final one. You're gonna do that one again. Did you get all the way over here? Get all the way in the temples. Yes, ma'am. Well, then put some gloves on. That's a great question. And I will say again, not repping for any brand. If you need one of these, I can get you the best price through the school. So just let us know. We can order it for you. But we can't do that for anybody else. Okay. Did you do just 1 or 2? Do it 2. There's enough serum. So we're going to do, remember, 1 pass hyaluronic, 2 passes of the peptide. And my students, your other teachers might teach you a different way. 4 passes is the best way, okay? And it's okay to do things different ways too, by the way, but 4 passes give you that best concentration of those ingredients. So I hate to see when people just, stamp in hyaluronic acid and that's it. There's other ingredients out there, so don't forget about that. And you see how she's kind of coming at an angle because the face curves, so you can come kind of like that, bloop. So kind of angle it, yep. Go over her eyebrows. So remember, what is normal with this is erythema. Erythema is redness. Edema is not okay. Edema is swelling. So we like erythema. We don't like edema. In your first aid kits, always keep a little Zyrtec. You don't want to, and you can keep Benadryl too. I just always think Benadryl, people get used to that very easily. So Zyrtec's a good one to give someone if they want to have it on the way out the door. Perfect. We'll massage all that in. Turn that off. Fantastic. I'll take this over. You may put your gloves away. Right here. We need the swelling. Thank you. Perfect. Hold that. Have a seat. So this is a very, very good 4 passes on the forehead. Okay. Go ahead, turn that on 1 dial on the bottom. On the bottom. Yep, just turn it. Or not that, just the teeny tiny one little bottom. Just 1, perfect, good job. Start on the temple. You're gonna stamp it kind of in a vertical pattern, very even. Very good. Do. You can touch her. There you go. After we do this, I'm going to show y'all an awesome arm and hand massage. If anybody would like to stand with Miss April and y'all can microchannel each other's arms, I've got some other, how many needles do we have over there? We have 4 more. So we could do 4 models if you wanted to, and then we're good to go. But I always say, if y'all are estheticians that are doing facials without arm and hand massage, Let's not do that. I saw this happen with someone, one of my graduates, and she had quit doing it. I'm telling you, you're leaving some dollars on the table when you don't do that. Make sure you always incorporate it. So I'm gonna show you all some fun little techniques in just a minute. We'll see if we can pair up and do it. And I wanna say you attended a class where I did this, so this should be fun. We're here for the demos. All the extra things. Wonderful job. 4 passes. Exactly. Hop on up. Maybe, yes. Anybody else want to jump in? Okay, I'll keep on going. But keep that little thing there, that little cover. We're going to go back and do the left side of the face with, I'll pass this back to Miss April. Then you will just massage it in. And of course, anything with blood spill needs to go in a biohazard bin. So if you find that that's going to be something you do a lot, where there's a little bit of blood spill, then you're going to need to have a biohazard container. A biohazard container is a stainless steel trash can, essentially, with the red biohazard waste bags in there. Thank you. Okay, but you have to have a company come and dispose of that stuff all the time. And you can double bag it. You can even put it in a gallon-sized Ziploc bag before you put it in the biohazard bag. So have some gallon-sized Ziploc bags available. Come on the side of the nose. Sometimes it makes you want to sneeze. You okay? Good. There's a little nerve ending there for that. But you can even put on a hydrating mask after this, kind of like even a sheet mask would be appropriate after this. But we'll get into, ooh, you like that on your lips? You're a trooper doing this at a 1. It doesn't feel like anything? No. Okay, just checking. Just checking. Gonna get right down here. And if you're doing multiple areas too, and totally ask questions, like arms or legs or abdomen, change your needle out. So this really only does one section because these will dull. Okay, what was your question? Yes. You want to see one side versus the other? Let's do that. Okay. Get close. Not that she needs help. She's got beautiful skin. Come close. Why are you sorry? You don't have to be sorry. This is what we're all here for. We love skincare. One of the gals that works here, she said, oh my gosh, I wish I could stick around and listen to this whole class. I said, well, you should be a model. She's like, oh, I have to work. Okay. So come close and let's see if y'all can tell on the lips in just a minute from one side to the other. You've already, you're blessed with lips, so we'll see if we can tell. But of course, lip injections kind of trump this procedure, but it's a good thing to do. Lift that chin up for me. Okay, especially at a 1. This should really get it nice and plump. You're stimulating blood flow. So you'd probably have to stand over her to maybe see the difference. Probably temporarily, but if you do this on a regular basis, you're going to see some blood stimulation, which would stimulate that fibroblast production, which could truly inherently give you long-term results. Yes, that was pass 2. We're going to do pass 3. You want to stand and see if you can tell? Does it look a little bit more plump around the edges, maybe?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
You look cute, not deformed. So.
Ah, we don't want to deform her. Not today. Yes. She's doing great. And there's no blood spill, but I'll tell you, everybody's different. So always have your stuff readily available for anything like that. And I'm letting the machine do the job. Okay, one more pass, but let's get those lippies one more time. You're like, nope, okay. And now, a little spicy. But golly, if we were to have taken a before picture, this after picture is gonna look amazing, and I'm gonna massage all of this into her skin in just a second. Nope, okay. Who in here uses squalane? It's kind of like a finishing hydrator, yeah. It is transformative. Okay, one more time on this side. So if you ever get microchanneling done, it's just the 1 pass, you're never going to think about it the same after that. We're also going to use squalane to do the arm and hand massage, and that way she's not going to be left oily. It'll absorb into her skin. So I try to teach that to my massage students too. I mean, they have their teachers that teach them all their stuff, but I try to tell them, hey, you don't want to cause people to have a breakout from getting a massage, because that can happen. Okay. We're going to do the other side. And just make sure you have someone nearby, because I'm going to have y'all do some hand massages on each other in just a minute. So hang tight. Massage this in. Okay. And we have got a little headshot station set up next door, but I also thought if it's a pretty day outside, y'all could go on the balcony too. That'd be kind of fun. Wow, look at that side compared to this side. Holy cow. Okay, a little bit of hyaluronic. Make sure you always do hyaluronic first. You'll notice that in a lot of my protocols, because that goes a little bit deeper into the skin. You want that to be deeper. So just think about the reasoning why you're choosing what you're choosing, and that way you can educate your clients on it, and then they'll want to purchase those products from you that have those active ingredients in there. Okay, and you can turn this up twice, but I think one is totally fine, especially since we're doing the one. April, I'm going to hand you this little cap just so it doesn't fall on the floor. Thank you. Get on the side of that nose. Okay. Pass one, and just having that nice little pattern that we can go horizontally here, a little bit more vertical on the forehead. Very nice. So I want everybody in here to add this to your menu when you leave, and tell me how your clients love this. Because the nice part, let's say you spend, you know, what does this even cost? I don't even know. Let's say you spend $1,500 on a machine, and then it's $25 or so per head. I mean, you'll pay that off very quickly. You'll have some consumable costs like these, but otherwise, you'll pay it off very quickly. And if you have some of those expensive machines, you know what I'm talking about. This is very cost effective for you. Who in here has their own business? Good. Good. Yeah, I know you do. I'm excited about that. When are you gonna invite me over? I wanna see everything. So Dominique has a piercing business, but is adding aesthetics to it, which I think is so amazing. So you're already used to doing blood spill and, you know, having all the required items for that, which is fantastic. So if you have a combo business, I've already told her this before, you just have some separate rooms that you kind of designate to be your salon space. And that way, when there's an inspection going on, you're good to go. Always try to separate some of those things, and then you're ready. And when you're ready, April can notarize your salon license. Your paperwork for it anyways. Okay, that was pass 2. Let's do pass 3. Little peptide action. Make sure you educate those clients on what peptides are. What did I say peptides are? Yes, they're chains of elastin fibers that tighten the skin. Where does elastin derive from? Epidermis or dermis? Dermis. So remember, fibroblasts in the dermis produce collagen, elastin, and glycosaminoglycans. What are glycosaminoglycans? What are glycosaminoglycans? What's a type of glycosaminoglycan? Hyaluronic acid. I'm gonna put y'all back in school right now. So remember, hyaluronic acid is naturally in our skin, and as we get older, it goes away. So we see less volume and all this kind of stuff, and you wanna add that plumping back in there. So you wanna stimulate fibroblasts to produce your body's own hyaluronic acid, but it's not a bad idea to apply it topically as well. The other term for it is sodium hyaluronate. Okay, last pass. So this might seem like a lot, but what a better way to get those ingredients into the skin. I mean, by the time we've oil planed and microchanneled, one of the best treatments you can do. And lipid barrier protection, oh man, this absolutely does it. Are we feeling a little bit irritated probably at this point? Yes, of course. Okay, a little bit on those lippies. The one thing I will mention for clients is tell them to wash their makeup brushes, as soon as they get home. Don't put any dirty makeup brushes on skin after a procedure like this. Okay, so I'll massage all that in. Put your cap back on and then take it off easy enough. So just don't lose that cap because that'll be the thing. You don't want to stab yourself with it. Perfect. And then we're going to massage this in. And Angel, do you mind grabbing those and giving those to Miss April, just the serums in and of itself? How do you feel? Do you feel very aerated? Look at that gorgeous glow. Yes. So with makeup brushes, I say they really should all be disposable. You can get inexpensive makeup brushes. The round ones are the best. I even use makeup brushes to do facials with because they're so soft. But really expensive, non-expensive, they need to be thrown away every 3 months or so as my personal recommendation. I don't know if that's what you were asking, but that's what I would recommend. Yeah, and do the best you can with cleaning. You can use a gentle cleanser for that. I'm gonna use some of the squalane again. You want to find a partner? Find a partner. And y'all can grab some serum, of course. Miss April will do her best at sharing it with everybody. Okay. But let me show you first. So we're just going to do the hand massage part together. All right. So with a client, you want to stretch them and stretch them. I hate it when people leave the arms on the table. Don't you, Morgan? Yes, we need some blood flow going. So we're gonna stretch and we're gonna stretch. We're gonna do the upper part. And of course, if she has a gown on, we can get under her scapula and all that good stuff.
From sheets to shower curtains.
Are you relaxed? Are you okay?
Towels to coffee makers and towels to
I know, I'm kind of manhandling you like that. Sorry. Now we're going to do the forearm. But the best part is the hand massage. Do the forearms. We're going to do 5 minutes on each arm. Okay, so here's what you do, okay? If you want good tips, this is how you do it. This is the easy part. So you're going to take 2 fingers, 2 thumbs. We're going to dig, and we're going to spread. That's the easy part. The fun one's coming up next. But 3-step hand massage. How many of y'all have had a hand massage and you just want to like throw up because it's so terrible? I mean, people would just do this, 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 and then that's it. And I'm like, no. So the hands, people use their hands the most. Why would you not focus on that? So dig in and dig out. That feels fine, right? Then, and y'all gonna pair up and do it in just a second. Now we're gonna do what I call the peace sign massage. My son loves this. He plays video games. He is 13. He's like, Mommy, will you do the peace sign massage on me? I'm like, yes, but please stop playing video games so much and then you wouldn't need it. So 2 fingers, peace sign, here. 2 fingers here. Thumbs are free. So here, here, thumbs are free. Then crisscross with your thumbs through the palm. How does that feel? It's like carpal tunnel, goodbye. Cell phone usage with your hands, everything feels better now. And then dig into that thumb muscle. And this is your right hand. Are you right-handed? And you probably feel like that's very tight. A lot of people have tight thumb muscles. They don't even realize it, okay? So this is life-altering. Do that. You look like you're pondering on it. You can relax, Morgan. You can, yes. With all these people around you. Now, shake them. Don't be scared. Now you're going to massage all the way down with some thought to it, some intention behind it. Roll it around, grab, let go. Massage all the way down. Roll it around, grab, let go. Instead of this, we're spending some time. Roll it around, grab, let go, massage all the way down, roll it around, grab, let go, last one, don't go too crazy on the pinky, shake, 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 and then of course, hot towel. But now all of that's absorbed into her skin because it's the swelling, it's not this massage oil. Grab a partner, and y'all can do this dry, y'all don't have to do it with oil, okay? Grab someone's hand. It's okay. Y'all can wash hands afterwards. Okay, a little bit more. Okay, excuse me. Thomas, am I okay if I get right here? Okay, so I'm going to stretch her first. Y'all are going to do the hand massage in just a minute. Grab a partner, it's okay. Okay, and y'all can do it dry. That's all right. Of course, we're going to do the upper arm.
Are we doing the upper arm or just doing
You don't have to. Wait until we get to the hand. We're going to do the forearm. All right, y'all ready to start the hand massage? Okay, here we go. So, palm is facing you, and we're going to take our 2 fingers and we're going to dig in. I want to hear some oohs and ahs if you're receiving it. Massage in. Ah, Bridget, not that much. Not that kind of a show. So dig in with your palms. Chelsea, show her how it's done. All right. Does that feel good? With some pressure, medium pressure. Okay. And that's how you do it too. You shake them. Okay, now peace sign massage. Y'all ready? 2 fingers here. 2 fingers here. Thumbs are free. I'll show you again. 2 fingers here. 2 fingers here. Thumbs are free. This is life-changing. And now, crisscross with your thumbs with medium pressure in the palms. And models, tell them if you want them to be more hard with it, like more pressure. Harder! April's bringing around the stuff. How's that feel? Uh-huh. Peace sign massage, everyone. Megan? Okay. That's okay. Yes, it's so good. That is so good, I'm telling you. Okay, so then after peace sign massage, we spend time on those fingers, okay? So shake her out real quick. Shake her. Shake her. There we go. Now, massage all the way down. Roll it around. Grab, let go. Massage all the way down. Roll it around. Grab, let go. Your skin looks awesome. All the way down. Roll it around. Grab, let go. And then trade to serve your other person, you know, make it even. Roll it around. Grab, let go. All the way down. Roll it around. Grab, let go. So as a recap, the hand massage, if you want extra tips when you go back to work, 2 fingers to dig in, step 1. Peace sign massage, step 2, and dig into that thumb muscle when you do it, and then of course crisscross through. Then each finger, spend time rolling around, grab, let go between each and every one. Spend a good 5 or 6 minutes on each side, okay? Then you shake them. Don't be scared. Blood flow. Do you know that people can see how confident you are when you do stuff like that too? Instead of just finger touching everyone like this, that is stupid. We're not doing that. Okay. I will take your credit card. Thank you. I'll see you in 2 weeks, right? And you're going to prepay for everything I just told you. Yes. All right, you feel okay? All right. What time is it?
12:35.
Perfect. Yes. Yes.
Can you show us the vibration one? That's the only one that no one really showed us.
Oh, yeah. Come here. Oh, God.
You're gonna do it to me?
Does anybody remember vibration massage from school? It's old school. Y'all don't need to do this for real on anybody, but you kind of like from inside your body.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
It's kind of stupid.
Jess said you did it on her. She said she felt her whole body got shook out.
I don't know. Yeah. That's all you do. Oh, that's funny. Yes.
We did it 10 times.
And that's fine.
Okay.
Try 4.
Okay.
The teachers know I do that method.
It was only a 0.5.
I'll have to see who taught y'all that method.
It's Jess.
Okay, yeah. And she does it great too. But this is just a different kind of style, which is also pro cell style. Yeah, and your skin looks amazing. That's good. Okay, yes. We're going to do headshots in just a second and then wrap up our day. Go ahead.
For the dermaplaning,
Yep.
so like you see how I have like these skin tags and everything?
Yes.
What, like, how would they?
You can still go over it because skin tags really need to be kind of cauterized off with a laser or frozen. But they could nick it, which you might not hate that, but you know, but yeah. But you're fine. You can still dermaplane with that. That's not a problem because a 10R blade's not gonna just chop it off. So, yes.